This is a cup slightly damaged. This is a tube of toothpaste 30 remaining. This is a mirror this is a colossal dupe. His girlfriend spent all his money and killed him. Now he is reborn. Lin Tian rushes into the bathroom, grips the sink with both hands, and stares fiercely at his own reflection in the mirror. Everything in sight bore markings. The mark on his reflection in the mirror was especially ironic and true a dupe. He truly was a dupe. He worked his fingers to the bone, handing over his entire salary to his girlfriend Zhou Tingting. But she squandered it all. Whenever she cried and coaxed, he would soften, never break up, and give her the money anyway. When the apocalypse came, he fought desperately to protect her, yet she pushed him into a horde of zombies. The feeling of betrayal, being devoured by zombies, watching death approach helplessly, a terror, despair, and agony he would never forget for eons. Even he himself wouldn't deny being a colossal dupe. Fortunately, he was reborn just before the apocalypse. Not only did he bring back the portable space of infinite storage that awakened at his death, he also gained a special ability to see hidden markings on everything and everyone. Since he was reborn, he would never allow the tragedy of his previous life to repeat. He would not die at his girlfriend's hands, nor in the apocalypse crises. He would survive. There was still 1 month before the apocalypse arrived. After the apocalypse struck, various disasters would occur: frost, tsunamis, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, extreme weather, and the zombie crisis. Although he died early in his past life, he had witnessed the power of the apocalypse. Within just 3 years of the apocalypse, the population plummeted, with mortality rates exceeding 95%. Most survivors lived in agony, fighting bitterly for a mouthful of food, throwing away dignity and integrity. Time was of the essence. He had to prepare quickly. Zhou Tian, what are you doing here? Zhou Tingting had returned without him noticing. She hugged him from behind. Lin Tian's body stiffened, and a surge of overwhelming fury erupted in his heart. This wretched woman. He had treated her so well, yet she had schemed to take his money and his life. However, this was not the time for reckoning. He forced calm and said, just looking in the mirror, dazzled by your own handsomeness. Hee. Zhou Tingting stuck out her tongue in a feigned cute manner, but found Lin Tian wasn't looking at her. Hey, why won't you get close to me? Zhou Tingting complained playfully, deliberately rubbing her soft chest against him. She knew her most precious asset was this proud figure. She always attracted stares wherever she went. Lin Tian did turn his head, but he didn't look at her softness. He gave her a brief glance, then looked away. Zhao, how much of my money do you still have? Zhou Tingting started to speak, but Lin Tian interrupted. There. Tens of thousands. Zhou Tingting's eyes darted nervously, her heart fluttering with fear. Exactly how many tens of thousands? Lin Tian suppressed his fury and asked softly, pretending to be gentle. Zhou Tingting forced a smile. I forgot I saved it all. That's good, give me the deposit slip. He'll go withdraw it now, Lin Tian said. Zhou Tingting hesitated. Deposit slip? What deposit slip? She had long squandered all of Lin Tian's money, saving it was just an excuse. She never expected him to actually demand it. Go get the deposit slip. If you forget where you put it, it'll accompany you to apply for a replacement, Lin Tian said calmly. Zhou Tingting squeezed out a smile she thought was gentle. Why rush? Isn't it good to earn interest by keeping it in the bank? No, the interest is too little. Investing in business can earn far more. Lin Tian rejected her suggestion without hesitation. Makes sense. Zhou Tingting forced a smile. If it makes sense, then go get the money, Lin Tian said firmly. Zhou Tingting trembled as if she had been electrocuted. She stumbled, trying to change the subject. But Lin Tian cut her off. Are you lying to me again? You said you saved the money, but actually you spent it. I certainly didn't. My girlfriend has already tricked me twice. How could you keep lying to me? If you keep cheating me, then you're not a girlfriend. You're a swindler. As he said this, Lin Tian pinched Zhou Tingting's cheek, but his eyes flashed with cold light. Zhou Tingting's body quaked with terror. Judging from Lin Tian's words, if she didn't produce the money, he would dump her. No matter how she coaxed or played the emotional card, it wouldn't work. How could your girlfriend be that bad? I just remembered I didn't deposit it in the bank. The money is in my card and WeChat. A few tens of thousands. Wait a moment, he'll get it for you right now. Zhou Tingting pretended to be calm, spouting a flimsy excuse, then fled into the bedroom and locked the door behind her. She let out a long sigh, then quickly sat on the bed and called her parents to borrow money. You can't catch a wolf without risking the child. She had to cough up some cash to get through this. Only then would Lin Tian continue handing over all his money. Lin Tian turned over more than 20,000 a month. She couldn't bear to lose this cash cow. After borrowing the money, she hurried out of the bedroom. As soon as she came out, Lin Tian demanded coldly, where's the money? I have it, over 80,000 here. They'll transfer it to you. Zhou Tingting transferred the money with a pang of heartache, and Lin Tian accepted it instantly. Zhou Tingting had expected Lin Tian to be happy and treat her the same as before. Instead, Lin Tian remained stone-faced. Even his smiles were fake, and his pretended tenderness made her uneasy. Alas, still too little. I guess I'll have to sell the old house quickly. Too bad it won't fetch 2 million. If it gets demolished, ID get at least 3 million. As soon as Lin Tian said this, greed flickered in Zhou Tingting's eyes. Right? Lin Tian had an old house about to be demolished. The compensation would be at least 3 or 4 million. If her family bought this house for 1 or 2 million and waited for the demolition, wouldn't they make a net profit of over 1 million? And where would her family get that money? Part of it was the 120,000 they got from demolishing their hometown house. The other part was, of course, from Lin Tian, that sucker. Because Lin Tian handed over his salary, she transferred 10,000 to her family every month. They had been together 2 or 3 years. That added up to over 300,000. Her younger brother wasn't married yet, so this money was all saved. The family had also saved some for his wedding. Raising 1 or 2 million would be easy. With that thought, she immediately hugged Lin Tian's arm and whined, "Oh, why sell it to someone else? Sell it to my brother instead. He doesn't have a house yet." Lin Tian saw the greed in her eyes clearly. This wretched woman was a thorough gold digger and a brother-obsessed sister. Her eyes had only money and her brother. How laughable. In his past life, he was too foolish to see it, only realizing after she had him killed. He suppressed his towering rage, pretended to be appeased, and said with a smile, "Fine, since he's your brother, I'll sell it to him for 1.5 million. Really? Babe, you're so good to me." Zhou Tingting beamed with joy. "I'll tell my brother right away. Let's get this settled early." Zhou Tingting couldn't stop grinning. What a sucker, totally love blind. Selling a house worth 3 to 4 million in demolition compensation to her brother for the low price of 1.5 million. And he didn't even think it was a loss. Not to mention, he handed over all his salary. Such a sucker was hard to find. After marriage, she would scheme him down to his last penny. Afraid Lin Tian would change his mind, Zhou Tingting rushed to the balcony to call her brother and deliberately closed the sliding door. Lin Tian glanced at her retreating figure and pulled out his own phone. As soon as he took out his phone, a note appeared on the screen. "This is a mobile phone. Password is 886,677. He unlocked it and opened a photo. It was a family photo of Zhou Tingting's family. For members, all together. Hidden notes were also present. The note on Zhou Tingting's brother was especially prominent. "This is your girlfriend's younger brother, Zhou Haiyang. He will die in a home invasion tomorrow at 1030 a.m. Reading this note, he smirked mockingly. Zhou Tingting must have never dreamed that her brother would die soon, right? In his past life, just before the apocalypse, she suddenly couldn't reach her brother no matter what. She even reported it to the police. But no one knew her brother was already dead. Just now, while Zhou Tingting was in the bedroom scraping together money, he learned about this from the family photo. And so he conceived a perfect plan to swindle 1.5 million from Zhou Tingting's family. Yes, he had never actually intended to sell the house cheaply to Zhou Tingting's brother. He just wanted to take back his money with interest. Not only that, he would demand even more from Zhou Tingting's family. He would make them lose everything, paving the way for his apocalypse preparations. This was the price they had to pay. With this thought, a flicker of ruthlessness crossed Lin Tian's eyes. In his past life, Zhou Tingting had taken his money and his life. In this life, he would take everything back with interest. "Sis, are you out of your mind? Why are we paying for that bastard Lin's crappy house?" Zhou Haiyang's roar blared from Zhou Tingting's phone. Even without the speaker on, the volume was considerable. Lin Tian, who had just stepped onto the balcony door, heard every word clearly. "Huh, that bastard Lin. This wretched freeloader ate his food and drank his drink, yet never showed him an ounce of respect. You idiot, sure the house is old, but when it gets demolished, it's a solid 3 million plus. We'll make over 1 million in profit. Only he'd be brain dead enough to sell this house for so little. Even if he's strapped for cash for business alone, would be smarter than this. But it's fine. If his business makes money, it'll make him hand it over to me. If he loses it all, I'll drain him dry and then dump him." Zhou Tingting smugly detailed her cunning scheme, unaware that Lin Tian stood right behind her. Zhou Haiyang's dissatisfied voice came through the phone. "No, sis, if he needs money for business, he can get a loan. If he can't pay it back, that's his problem. You're together now, so his house is already ours. Why should we have to buy what's already ours? I'm your only brother. I need to get married someday. He's got to cover all the expenses, the wedding house, the bride price, the banquet. You make sure he pays up." Lin Tian was almost amused by Zhou Haiyang's twisted logic. He never imagined that selling a house worth at least 3 million in demolition compensation to his girlfriend's family for a mere 1.5 million would still draw such venomous complaints from this ingrate. This ingrate had already claimed his house as his own. He even urged his sister to make Lin Tian fund, yet he never once considered Lin Tian's own welfare. Such a parasite deserved to die at the hands of a home invader. Gradually, Zhou Haiyang's voice faded into indistinct murmurs. But Zhou Tingting's words remained clear. "Oh, my brother's so smart. But you don't know how scary his face looked. If I hadn't gone along with him, he might have broken up with me. Then we'd lose our cash cow, wouldn't we? We've got to know the difference between a full meal now and a lifetime of feasts. I've already planned it. Well, ask for a bride price of 500,000. Even though he hands over his salary to me and has little savings, he has a few ancestral treasures worth a few $100,000. Truth is, I'd rather marry a rich second generation and live the life of a pampered wife. But the rich guys I've met through matchmaking are all as sly as foxes. None of them are as easy to fool as this lovesick fool. He'll keep an eye out for a rich guy. If nothing works out, I'll just settle for him. Don't worry, even if I marry him, I'll make him earn plenty to support you. What? How dare he? If he doesn't earn enough for us, I won't let him touch me. I've got all the money and I won't have kids either. Let's see how long he can hold out. Hearing the conversation, Lin Tian's gaze turned icy. With a swoosh, Zhou Tingting ended the call and slid open the balcony door. Seeing Lin Tian standing there, she was utterly stunned. Tian. When had Lin Tian arrived? Had he overheard her conversation with her brother? Zhou Tingting breathed a silent sigh of relief. Good. Do you have the 1.5 million? If not, I'll have to sell it to someone else. Zhou Tingting breathed a silent sigh of relief. Good. Do you have the 1.5 million? If not, I'll have to sell it to someone else. Lin Tian said with a smile. We definitely do. My mom and the others know, and they've already transferred the money to my brother's account. Fearing Lin Tian might doubt their financial capability, Zhou Tingting even showed him the transfer record. Through his hidden hints, Lin Tian confirmed that the 1.5 million had indeed been deposited into Zhou Haiyang's account. He smiled in satisfaction. Pinching her cheek, he said with feigned gentleness, "It's the weekend tomorrow and the day after, so we can't process the transfer. On Monday, when the office opens, I'll go with your brother to handle the ownership transfer. Then this old house will be his." Hearing this, Zhou Tingting excitedly kissed Lin Tian on the cheek. "Tian, you're so wonderful. I love you to bits." The next day, Lin Tian left home early in the morning. With the deep-seated grudges from his past life, he naturally felt not a shred of affection for Zhou Tingting. The reason he still lived with her was solely to squeeze out every last bit of her value. When the apocalypse came, he would make sure she met her end. And now, he wanted to witness her brother's death firsthand. Now the hidden hints only appeared when he willed them to. Her brother Zhou Haiyang had just posted a selfie on his moments. To the naked eye, it only showed an overly filtered, still hideously fat man. But when Lin Tian thought of the hidden hint, a prompt appeared over the post. This is a moment's post sent from location 106, Yangwang Road. Guided by this hidden hint, Lin Tian quickly arrived at Zhou Haiyang's place. Zhou Haiyang was renting an old standalone house with its own yard. The surrounding houses were similar, most with padlocks on their doors or rental ads posted. The street was quiet and deserted. No one would notice anything unusual about him. It was perfect for carrying out his plan. Seeing that time was near, he quickly climbed the big tree across the street. This spot gave him a clear view of Zhou Haiyang's yard, and with the dense foliage for cover, he could watch the entire drama unfold unnoticed. Soon a man emerged from a nearby alley and stepped into Zhou Haiyang's lane. Lin Tian immediately checked the man's hidden hint. This is an unemployed youth who during a home invasion got into a conflict with a man and accidentally killed him. This was the man. Lin Tian quickly pulled out his binoculars and aimed them at Zhou Haiyang's house. He watched as the man entered. Zhou Haiyang rushed out, and the two clashed. Then the man grabbed a nearby iron shovel and slammed it hard against Zhou Haiyang's head. Zhou Haiyang collapsed heavily to the ground, blood gushing out and staining the earth. The man immediately dropped the shovel and fled the scene. Lin Tian recorded the entire process. After a long while, he climbed down from the tree and jogged over to Zhou Haiyang's house. As soon as he entered, he heard faint cries for help. "Lin, you bastard, get over here and save me." Following the sound, he saw Zhou Haiyang lying in a pool of blood, glaring at him with venom. Lin Tian chuckled. This bloodsucker was tenacious. A shovel to the skull, and he still wasn't dead, still had the strength to curse him. Lin Tian pulled out his phone and opened the camera to record. Watching Zhou Haiyang's face grow pale from blood loss, he smiled. "Even at a time like this, you still call me that, Lin." Hearing this, Zhou Haiyang quickly changed his tune. Brother-in-law. Lin Tian made no move to help. He just stood there watching Zhou Haiyang slowly slip into the abyss of death. "Brother-in-law, please call an ambulance." "Brother-in-law, I don't want to die. I want to live." The near-death experience from blood loss terrified Zhou Haiyang, and a fierce will to survive made him cling to Lin Tian as his only hope. Zhou Haiyang cried out desperately over and over, but Lin Tian just kept recording with his phone. Suddenly Lin Tian spoke. "Want to live?" Those two words were as precious as mountains of gold to the dying Zhou Haiyang. Hope flickered in his. He mustered all his strength to answer yes. Lin Tian smiled and said, "Call me Daddy." Though displeased, Zhou Haiyang complied. "Daddy." Lin Tian shook his head. "Too quiet. I can't hear you." Zhou Haiyang gathered his breath and shouted, "Daddy." This time it was much louder. But Lin Tian shook his head again. "Louder." Zhou Haiyang hesitated, then obeyed. Opening his mouth wide, he strained his throat and yelled with all his might, "Daddy." But his pleas finally moved Lin Tian. As Lin Tian approached and crouched down beside him, a faint smile appeared on his blood. Seeing Lin Tian motionless, he begged helplessly, "Save me. Please save me. Save me." His voice grew softer until it was barely audible, but his pleas finally moved Lin Tian. As Lin Tian approached and crouched down beside him, a faint smile appeared on his blood-stained pig-like face. Lin Tian was here. He was saved. That bastard Lin was so picky about what to call him. He even made him call him daddy. Once he recovered, he'd make his sister trick that bastard Lin out of all his savings. Then he'd have his sister dump him. Let that bastard Lin live as a penniless, lonely old bachelor for the rest of his life. Let him die in misery. But he never expected. Lin Tian's next words shattered all his plans. "What? I never said that just because you call me daddy a few times I'd definitely save you." Lin Tian's words struck Zhou Haiyang like a thunderbolt. "You?" Zhou Haiyang's eyes went wide with shock. The rage that surged in his heart was instantly doused by a wave of terror at the thought of death. "Brother-in-law, I was wrong. Don't go. Save me. Save me." He quickly begged for mercy, but saw Lin Tian step right over him and walk toward the house. Tears silently slid from the corners of his eyes, mingling with the blood to form several horrifying streaks of bloody tears. With hollow, tear-filled eyes, he stared at the sky, waiting for death in despair. As soon as he entered the bedroom, Lin Tian spotted the phone on the table and the hidden hint. "This is a fruit phone. Password is 369,123. Lin Tian unlocked Zhou Haiyang's phone, opened WeChat and Alipay, and checked the bound bank cards for hidden hints. "This is an agricultural bank card. Balance is 1500310. 86. Password is 369,123. Seeing this hint, he wasn't surprised. The money he had tricked Zhou Tingting's family into buying his old house was exactly that amount. But the next hints he saw made him increasingly restless. "This is a China construction bank card. Balance is 168,394. 03. Password is 369,123. This is a Bank of China card. Balance is 283268. 23. Password is 369,123. Zhou Haiyang had several cards linked to WeChat and Alipay, each with balances ranging from tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands, adding up to over 1 million. What shocked him even more was the balance on an ICBC card. "This is an ICBC card. Balance is 116136993. 49. Password is 369,123. Staring at the astonishing string of numbers in the hint, his eyes nearly popped out of his head. He had only come here expecting to witness Zhou Haiyang's death and claim the 1.5 million in house money. He never imagined such a windfall. Over 11 million. Zhou Haiyang was just an unemployed leech who mooched off his parents and sister. Where did he get so much money? Without wasting a second, Lin Tian found all of Zhou Haiyang's bank cards and stuffed them into his pocket. In the process, he discovered a receipt. It stated that Zhou Haiyang had won the special prize in a welfare lottery, a staggering 15 million. Even after deducting 2 million in lottery taxes, it was an incredible 13 million. Lin Tian suddenly understood. No wonder Zhou Haiyang was so wealthy. He had hit the jackpot. That sneaky bastard had kept it well hidden, winning such a huge prize yet hiding it from his family, while still mooching off his parents' sister and even him. If he hadn't come here, he would have missed out on this fortune. But it worked out well. Since Zhou Haiyang had only cashed in his prize the day before yesterday, he had barely spent any of it, and it all fell into Lin Tian's hands. Including the balances in WeChat and Alipay, he had harvested over 13 million. With this fortune, he could stockpile supplies wildly and survive the apocalypse in much better shape. He quickly searched Zhou Haiyang's house from top to bottom, scrounging up some gold bars and a few words. Using his hidden hints, he checked everything and confirmed he hadn't missed anything valuable. Then he swiftly left with the wealth along with Zhou Haiyang's ID and phone. Of course, before leaving, he made sure to wipe away any traces of his presence. Pinyin Gold Shop. Let's take a look. Lin Tian lifted his head, murmured as he gazed at the large characters on the gold shop signboard, then strode briskly inside. Though Zhou Haiyang's gold bars weren't many, their implied value was only around 1 million. Still, leaving them in his space wouldn't make them multiply, so it was better to cash them out quickly. With only a month until the apocalypse struck, he had to stockpile supplies urgently to secure a better chance of survival. "Welcome." As he entered, a beautiful woman in a business suit approached gracefully. The nameplate on her chest revealed her identity, manager. She wore a warm smile, showing no hint of disdain or neglect despite Lin Tian's bargain bin attire. She asked with a smile, "Hello, sir. What kind of jewelry are you looking for?" Lin Tian replied, "I'm not buying him here to sell." "Sell it?" the manager asked in surprise. Lin Tian raised his arm, holding a tattered canvas bag, gold bars. The manager said politely, "Sir, this way please." "Why is it you?" a woman suddenly exclaimed in shock. Lin Tian turned around in confusion, instantly stunned. Wu Xueqing. Wasn't this woman his girlfriend's good best friend Wu Xueqing? Thanks to her kindness, he had been cruelly manipulated by Zhou Tingting in his past life, left with nothing but ruin. And her role in him being pushed into the zombie horde by Zhou Tingting was undeniable. In this life, he would not let her off lightly. What are you doing here? This is a gold shop, not a place for you to scavenge. Wu Xueqing looked down on him arrogantly, her tone dripping with contempt. The manager bowed apologetically to Lin Tian. Sir, I'm sorry for the embarrassment. She immediately scolded Wu Xueqing. Xiao, you can't speak to a customer like that. Apologize to this gentleman at once. Being publicly reprimanded, Wu Xueqing felt her face burn with humiliation. She glared fiercely at Lin Tian and said irritably, Sister Zhang, do you really believe he is gold bars? His whole outfit isn't even worth 200 bucks. Gold bars. How if he can pull out a gold bar, he'll kneel down and count out twice right here. The moment she finished, Lin Tian immediately produced a gold bar. Go ahead, kneel. Wu Xueqing's arrogant expression instantly crumbled. She stared in shock at the gold bar in Lin Tian's hand, utterly unable to believe her eyes. A gold bar. Wasn't this simp handing over all his salary to her best friend? Where did he get the money to buy a gold bar? No way. It had to be fake. Wu Xueqing's eyes widened instantly as she pointed at Lin Tian's nose and yelled, Kneel my ass. A broke loser like you can pull out a gold bar. This must be gold-plated. If your brain's broken, go get it fixed. Don't disgust people here. Lin Tian retorted without mercy. You? Who are you calling brain broken? Wu Xueqing's voice trembled with rage. She had never suffered such humiliation in her life. You obviously. This is a gold shop. If I brought a fake gold bar, I'd be exposed in a second. And you call it gold-plated? What an idiot. Lin Tian struck back again. A few words left Wu Xueqing's face red with fury. The commotion drew the attention of many customers who turned to look. The manager said helplessly, Enough, Xiao Wu. Go over there. No, let her stay, Lin Tian said calmly. Sir. The manager looked at Lin Tian uncertain. Appraise it and see how much it's worth, Lin Tian said casually, handing her the gold bar. All right, sir, please wait a moment. The manager said politely and promptly took the gold bar for appraisal. Soon she returned holding it. Sir, this gold bar is 99.9 pure, weighing 300 grams. Today's buying price for 99.9 pure gold is 430 yuan per gram, so this bar can be cashed out for 129. What? Lin Tian's gold bar was real. 129,000 yuan. She hadn't earned that much even after half a year of being. What? Lin Tian's gold bar was real. 129,000 yuan. She hadn't earned that much even after half a year of being a kept woman. But recalling her earlier words, she said resentfully, only 1,000. What's so great about that? It's not even enough for a down payment on a house. Even if you sell that gold bar, you're still a broke loser. Hearing this, Lin Tian laughed. You really are brain broken. What did you say? Wu Xueqing was nearly driven mad. Lin Tian, with just one gold bar, was acting unbearably arrogant. He kept calling her brain broken. Just wait. She would definitely tell Zhou Tingting, exaggerating everything. Shed urged Zhou Tingting to swindle the gold bar money away and then dump him. Lin Tian sneered mockingly. I never said I only had one gold bar. You? Wu Xueqing started, but was struck speechless by the sight before her. That unremarkable canvas bag held several gold bars identical in quality and size to the first. One bar was nearly 1,300. 8 bars would be over 1 million. If a few gold bars were worth over 1 million, how staggering must Lin Tian's actual assets be? When did he become so wealthy? Zhou Tingting was incredibly lucky. Not only was her boyfriend handsome and easy to control, but he was also a hidden tycoon. Wait, if she stole him from Zhou Tingting, wouldn't all that money be hers? Just as she was about to grovel before Lin Tian and steal, Zhou Tingting's man Lin Tian suddenly spoke. What did you say earlier? If I pulled out a gold bar, you'd count out twice. Now I've pulled out 8 gold bars. Shouldn't you count out 16 times? Wu Xueqing's face turned pale instantly. Count out. Was Lin Tian even a man? Why did he have to cling to those words? Rage and resentment churned within Wu Xueqing. But recalling Lin Tian's terrifying wealth, she forced a sweet smile and said softly, Hee, I was just joking earlier. She kept winking at him, making seductive gestures. But the next second Lin Tian shattered her dreams. But I don't think it's a joke, Lin Tian said coldly with a smirk. Before she could react, he swiftly moved behind her and stomped hard on her calf. Her leg buckled, and she crashed to her knees with a thud. Then Lin Tian flashed in front of her, grabbed her head with lightning speed, and forced it down hard against the floor. Thud, 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 thud. The loud thuds of her head hitting the ground, and her horrifying screams echoed through the gold shop, plunging the entire place into dead silence. Everyone stared at the pair in shock, too stunned to intervene. It was not until she had finished kowtowing 16 times that Lin Tian finally let her go. Wu Xueqing struggled to her feet, wincing in pain. Traces of blood seeped from her forehead, a sight both shocking and pitiful. She glared at Lin Tian with fiery eyes as if they could kill. Lin Tian, just you wait. I won't let this go so easily. Lin Tian looked at Wu Xueqing calmly, not expecting that after kowtowing 16 times, she could still stand up and spew threats. It seemed the lesson he had just taught her was still too light. Since that was the case, he would teach her a bigger one. He immediately recited a few names. Gao Fan Kai Xian Jiang Xiaoqing Qin Wenbin. Each name he uttered struck Wu Xueqing like a heavy hammer pounding against her body. Wu Xueqing's body swayed violently, her face turning deathly pale. Her pupils contracted sharply as she stared at Lin Tian in terror. Suddenly, her knees buckled. She knelt before Lin Tian. Witnessing this, the crowd was utterly astonished and bewildered. Hadn't Wu Xueqing just been glaring at Lin Tian viciously, vowing revenge? How was it that after Lin Tian uttered a few names she knelt down? For a moment, everyone was dumbfounded. Those who had wanted to call the police for Wu Xueqing also put down their phones and quietly watched the drama unfold. Although Lin Tian's actions just now were undoubtedly intentional assault. But the problem was that Wu Xueqing, the victim herself, was begging for mercy. Even if they wanted to meddle, it would be futile. I was wrong. I deserve to die. Please don't say any more. Wu Xueqing lowered her posture, pleading incessantly. This humble demeanor filled her with humiliation. Yet she had no choice but to do so. Because the names Lin Tian had just recited were those of the wealthy benefactors she had recently been seeing. Lin Tian must have known she was seeing multiple wealthy men at the same time. If Lin Tian exposed this, all these benefactors would abandon her. She would be ruined. It would be difficult for her to find wealthy patrons again. She might even face brutal retaliation from these men and their families. The consequences, just thinking about them, made her tremble with fear. Weren't you going to take revenge on me just now? Lin Tian said with a cold sneer. Thanks to the hidden hints he saw on Wu Xueqing's outfit, he knew that each piece of her clothing was bought by different wealthy second-generation men from various backgrounds. That was how he was able to name those rich young men. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to find a handle on Wu Xueqing and would have faced her retaliation. No more revenge, I was wrong, he. Wu Xueqing forced out a smile that was uglier than crying. But the smile pulled at her wound, causing instant excruciating pain that twisted her features. Swallow what happened today. Don't tell anyone. If you do, then. Lin Tian's words trailed off, but Wu Xueqing understood immediately and swore desperately. I won't tell, I promise. Not even to Zhou Tingting. Lin Tian nodded condescendingly and said sternly, get lost. Wu Xueqing felt as if she had been pardoned. She nodded like a lapdog, stood up, and stumbled out. Just before the door she tripped and fell, then scrambled up and fled. I want to sell all 8 of these gold bars, Lin Tian said to the manager. The manager was taken aback, but quickly put on a standard professional smile. That totals 1,040,000 yuan. Sir, are you sure you want to sell? Yes. Lin Tian nodded. All right, please wait a moment. Soon 1,040,000 yuan was deposited into Lin Tian's bank account. With the money in hand, Lin Tian immediately left the gold store. Hello, do you still have vegetables? They'll take as many as you have. Miss, when will my order of 500 kilograms of greens arrive? Brother, have my 100 pigs been processed? When can you deliver them? What? You also have beef? He'll take it all. Brother, make sure to deliver my 500 bags of rice soon. Lin Tian stood in front of a derelict warehouse, frantically making phone calls, contacting wholesale markets, vegetable markets, and livestock farmers. Soon several fully loaded trucks arrived. They were packed to the brim with various supplies. The truck drivers met each other, all seeming puzzled about what Lin Tian was doing. Lin Tian handed each of them 100 yuan, effectively sealing their lips. After they unloaded and left, Lin Tian activated his divine sense, and the mountain of supplies vanished into his space. More transport vehicles arrived one after another, bringing vast quantities of supplies. Just the food supplies, rice, oil, salt, sauce, vinegar, tea, fruits, vegetables, grains, meat, eggs, and milk, were enough to last him several lifetimes. There were also various pots, pans, medical supplies, clothing, bedding, electronic devices, generators. He procured everything he could think of. Seeing his space gradually fill, a sense of relief washed over him. But he still felt it wasn't enough. There was only 1 month left until the apocalypse. This was a life-threatening crisis. Only by stockpiling as many supplies as possible could he ensure greater room for survival and live more comfortably in the post-apocalyptic world. He needed to prepare even more thoroughly. Suddenly a spark of inspiration flashed in his mind. Got it. The food he had stocked was mostly raw ingredients. Although he had pots and pans to cook meals and drinks enough to keep him fed and hydrated in the apocalypse, it was far from allowing him to eat and drink well. He needed to stock up on ready-made delicacies to store in his space so he could live even more comfortably in the apocalypse. Rural banquet feasts with their good taste and affordable prices were undoubtedly the best choice. With this in mind, he immediately searched online for rural banquet services. Using hidden hints, he quickly found a shop that offered excellent value for money. This shop usually operated as a mobile catering service for banquets, but also had a physical storefront. He contacted the shop, received a confirmed response, and set off immediately. Upon arriving at the shop, several people warmly welcomed him. He strode inside, and a chubby middle-aged man ran out panting heavily. This was the shop owner, Boss Zhou. Mr. Lin, preparing 1,000 banquet sets will take a month. Are you sure you want to order this many? Recalling what Lin Tian had said on the phone, Boss Zhou was both shocked and delighted. 1,000 banquet sets. This was a massive order. Although their shop had good business handling many weddings and funerals, a typical banquet was only 10 to 20 tables, at most 50 to 100. Moreover, these banquets were scheduled on specific dates, not held every day. Even 500 tables a month was considered good. But Lin Tian wanted to order 5,000 tables at once. That was equivalent to 10 months of their usual orders. Yes, I'm sure, but I need to see first, Lin Tian said calmly. Boss Zhou swallowed hard and quickly led Lin Tian on a tour. After looking around, Lin Tian quickly got a sense of the place. Through hidden hints, he knew the shop was as he had imagined. Hygiene and quality were acceptable, and Boss Zhou was an honest and reliable man. Lin Tian made up his mind. All right, I'll order 1,000 banquet sets from your shop. At these words, Boss Zhou's smile stretched from ear to ear. 1,000 tables of grand banquet feast. This was the colossal order he had dreamed of landing. Then, Mr. Lin, what price range would you like to go for? Suppressing the excitement surging within him, Boss Zhou inquired of Lin Tian. Lin Tian replied calmly, the best. All right. The finest grand banquet feast at my establishment costs 288 yuan per table, comprising 66 dishes. Here is the menu for your perusal. Boss Zhou handed over the menu with a beaming smile, his hands trembling with exhilaration. Lin Tian silently scanned the menu. Truly, it was a rural banquet feast. The price was indeed economical. Nearly half of these 66 dishes were meat courses, and some were even expensive seafood. Such a spread, if placed in a 5-star hotel, would easily command a price in the tens of thousands. Lin Tian made the decision on the spot. Good, well, go with this. Upon hearing this, Boss Zhou was overjoyed. Although their banquet feasts offered excellent value for money, the profit margins were still quite substantial. For this 2888 yuan table, he could net several hundred yuan in profit. That meant with Lin Tian ordering 1,000 tables, it would bring him a net profit of several hundred thousand yuan. Several hundred thousand yuan. That was a fortune. Enough to buy a 100-square-meter apartment in the county town. Lin Tian suddenly furrowed his brow. However what? Boss Zhou's heart skipped a beat. Was Lin Tian backing out? 1 month is too slow. You need to speed things up and prepare those 1,000 tables of banquet feast for me within 20 days. Although in principle there was still a month until the apocalypse arrived, Lin Tian feared unforeseen changes. What if the apocalypse came early, or if something happened to him right before it arrived? Then his grand banquet feast might fall through. Only by preparing everything as early as possible would it be most secure. 20 days. All right, consider it done. Boss Zhou's face showed a hint of reluctance, but he gritted his teeth and agreed. 1,000 tables of top-tier banquet feasts. A pure profit of several hundred thousand yuan. He couldn't bear to let this juicy morsel slip away, even if it meant pushing his staff to work overtime. The sooner the better. Oh, and deliver the prepared feasts to this warehouse every day. Call me when you're about to arrive, and he'll come to inspect the goods. He'll pay you every 5 days. Lin Tian pulled out a slip of paper with the warehouse address and his phone number. Boss Zhou took the paper and generously offered a discounted price. The price was 2,600 yuan per table, totaling 2.6 million yuan. Since Lin Tian would pay every 5 days, he only needed to pay a deposit of 1,000 yuan for now. Lin Tian didn't dawdle and agreed readily. He signed the agreement with Boss Zhou, paid the deposit, and left swiftly. At an internet cafe, just after booting up a computer, Lin Tian immediately began searching for online lending platforms. Surviving the apocalypse required more than just supplies. He also needed a shelter with an extremely high safety factor. In his past life, right at the onset of the apocalypse, the temperature plummeted and the entire world was blanketed in ice. To build a shelter capable of withstanding the cold and various disasters, the amount of money needed would be astronomical. Therefore, he had to raise funds to build the best possible shelter. Earlier, he had taken the property deed for his old house to the bank. Leveraging the property and his salary records, he secured a loan of 3 million yuan on the spot. He also applied for several credit cards, managing to cash out several hundred thousand more. That was the maximum he could get from legitimate banks. Squeezing out more wouldn't yield much. So, now while the online lending platforms couldn't immediately check his loan history, he had to seize the chance to fleece them. As soon as he searched, a flood of loan advertisements popped up in his browser. And hidden prompts for these ad-laden platforms also appeared before Lin Tian's eyes. This is an online lending platform with a high approval rate. The annual interest rate is around 10. Defaulting for 2 days will affect your credit record. This is an online lending platform with a high approval rate. The annual interest rate is around 15. Defaulting for over 2 days affects your credit. Defaulting for 5 days leads to contact list exposure. This is an online lending platform with a high approval rate. The annual interest rate is around 20. There are issues with aggressive debt collection. Lin Tian immediately applied for loans on these platforms. He quickly secured 4,000 yuan in loans. As for the interest rates, credit records, and collection issues, those were no longer his concern. Because by the time his first payment was due, the apocalypse would have already arrived. By then, people would be struggling just to stay alive, or would they have the energy to come after him for money? Lin Tian didn't pause for a moment. He took out loans from several more platforms in one go. The funds were dispersed quickly. Adding to the previous 4,000, he had already fleeced over 1 million yuan from online loans. Lin Tian continued his frenzy of borrowing. Although he had hit many platforms in a short time and had previously taken out a large bank loan, these platforms were inefficient and his loan information hadn't been updated across the board yet. So in the eyes of those on the lending platforms, he was still that high credit user with a property worth 2 million yuan and a monthly salary of tens of thousands. Thus, he continued to easily fleece the online lending platforms. The amount he borrowed grew larger and larger. But soon he had exhausted all the legitimate platforms. What remained were the illegitimate ones. Lin Tian continued browsing, applying for everything he could. Suddenly, a hidden prompt from one platform startled him. This is an online lending platform with an extremely high approval rate, very large loan amounts, an annual interest rate of over 45%, and severe issues with aggressive debt collection. Good heavens, an annual interest rate over 45%. Even in business, you wouldn't dare claim such high profits. Cursing under his breath, Lin Tian applied for a loan from this platform. After a phone call with a customer service representative from the platform, a loan of 3,000 yuan was deposited into his account. This is an online lending platform with a high approval rate, low loan amounts requiring weekly repayment at a weekly interest rate of 20%, and has severe issues with aggressive debt collection. Weekly repayment. The apocalypse wouldn't be here in a week. He would still have to repay. He silently clicked the X. This is an online lending platform with an approval rate close to 0. Its main income comes from user membership fees. A scam to steal personal information. He clicked X again. Just then someone tapped him on the shoulder and asked, "Bro, you strapped for cash?" He looked up to see a young man with a tattooed arm from the streets. "You're trying to start a business, but I don't have the money and don't know what to do." Lin Tian immediately put on a distressed expression. "No money. Easy, come to me, I've got ways. As long as you have collateral, I can get you as much as you want." The street youth's face jiggled with fat as he grinned. Lin Tian understood immediately this guy was a loan shark. "Really? You can lend me money? Even 5 million? Lin Tian immediately looked expectant. "Sure, if you have 5 million worth of collateral." The street youth said cheerfully. A flash of light gleamed in Lin Tian's eyes. He let out a deep sigh. "I don't have 5 million in collateral. I only have a house worth 2 million. When it gets demolished, I might get 3 million in compensation. If you can't lend that much, then forget it." The street youth quickly said, "Don't be like that. I can't do 5 million, but seeing as we're fated to meet, I can try my best to negotiate with my boss for a bit more. Just the interest might be a bit high. I can accept it. I can accept any interest rate." Before the street youth could finish, Lin Tian grabbed his tattooed arm and spoke impatiently. The street youth smiled. Lin Tian smiled too. Truly a fat lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Warm sunlight bathed the gray-black concrete ground. A cool breeze swept through, lifting scattered fallen leaves. Lin Tian, burdened by nearly 10 million in loans, wore a relaxed and carefree expression, his heart filled with delight. The loan shark, deeming him pitiful, had just granted him a 5 million yuan high-interest loan, demanding he repay 1 million monthly starting next month for a full year. The interest rate was more predatory than outright robbery. Yet since he had no intention of repaying even the principal, the exorbitant interest mattered little. What concerned him now was the construction of a shelter. Although the deed to his old house was mortgaged with the loan shark, it did not hinder his right to live in and use the property. Moreover, the old house was quite spacious. Transforming the old house into a shelter was ideal. If conditions permitted, he could also rent several nearby properties, convert them into low-tier shelters, and hire bodyguards to reside there, providing him with protection. With a team of bodyguards, he could enjoy a more comfortable life during the apocalypse. The possibility of betrayal had also been taken into account. After all, no matter how well he built his shelter, he could not stay inside forever. To venture outside, having bodyguards escort him throughout, was the safest option. Soon he arrived at a construction company, one that exclusively served the wealthy. It boasted a top-tier construction team and premium building materials, offering professional high-end customized services for the affluent. Wang Duojin, the youngest son of the province's richest man, fearing the apocalypse, had splurged on this company to build a shelter and stockpile ample supplies. Had he not checked Wang Dujin's background and seen the hidden hints, he might have mistaken him for another reincarnation. As he stepped inside, a blonde, blue-eyed beauty approached, speaking fluent Chinese. Welcome, sir. How may I need a shelter. Lin Tian produced a blueprint. This way, sir. The blonde beauty gestured politely after examining the drawing. Guided by the blonde beauty, Lin Tian traversed a long corridor, soon arriving at an exceedingly luxurious meeting room. The room was vast, its decor elegant and imposing, exuding an aura of wealth. After being served expensive fruits and pastries by the blonde beauty, a middle-aged man in a suit and leather shoes entered. Sir, I am Wu Huaizhong, general manager of this construction company. I've reviewed your blueprint and confirm we can build the shelter you desire. Wu Huaizhong looked at Lin Tian earnestly, his tone sincere without a hint of disdain. Spending heavily on a shelter might seem frivolous to ordinary folks. To the wealthy, it was a necessity. The richer one is the more they cherish life. To survive, the rich invest heavily in health maintenance, hire top-tier bodyguard teams, and spare no expense on their residences. Many affluent individuals engage premier construction firms using the finest materials to build luxurious homes, thereby mitigating potential risks, such as extreme weather, earthquakes, fires, and man-made disasters. Investing in a shelter was nothing unusual for him. Of course, this was still a major deal for him. Considering your emphasis on insulation, defense, and self-sufficiency in water and electricity. Of course, this was still a major deal for him. Considering your emphasis on insulation, defense, and self-sufficiency in water and electricity. For defense, we can achieve the best results. This is our in-house monitoring and early warning system, and these are our premium building materials. As for the underground shelter, our idea is truly a top-tier construction firm. Their capability was formidable. Following Wu Huaizhong's comprehensive plan, the shelter was flawless, leaving no shortcomings. No matter the disasters, there was nothing to fear. A veritable fortress of safety. All right, but I can only give you 1 month. Cough. Wu Huaizhong stared at Lin Tian in disbelief, inwardly shocked. The wealthy value their lives, that's true. But why such haste in building a shelter? Could Lin Tian be in danger, prompting him to splurge 500 million yuan on a shelter? Wu Huaizhong pondered for a moment before replying. 1 month is tight, but we can manage it. The top-tier package will cost 500 million yuan. I suggest considering an alternative plan with slightly lower safety standards costing only 100 million yuan. Please consider it. Once you decide to build, a tin deposit is required with the balance due upon completion. Hearing this, Lin Tian replied, without hesitation, I'll go with the top-tier package. However, my cash flow is limited right now. I can only pay 10 million as the initial deposit. I'll pay the rest tomorrow. If I fail to provide the remaining deposit, you may halt the construction. Although Lin Tian only had over 10 million yuan on hand, he was undaunted by the 50 million yuan deposit. He was confident he could earn 40 million yuan within a day. As for why he could make money so easily yet still took out online loans. Kidding. He'd take free money anytime. Well, all right. Wu Huaizhong hesitated for a few seconds before agreeing. After all, as a top-tier construction firm serving many wealthy clients, it naturally had strong backing and extensive connections. Such a large company had little fear of default. Moreover, while the rich had plenty of money, having it readily available was another matter. Some people might be worth billions, but their liquid cash might only be tens or hundreds of millions. Lin Tian's inability to pay the full 50 million deposit at once, though somewhat unusual, was not entirely unacceptable. Wu Huaizhong immediately engaged in detailed discussions with Lin Tian, finalized the construction plan, and promptly drove Lin Tian to his old house. The construction team followed. Although the roads were somewhat rough, the Rolls-Royce he rode in had excellent performance, making the ride feel completely smooth. Lin Tian leaned back, comfortably savoring the luxury of the top-tier vehicle. Mr. Lin, we've arrived. After an unknown period, Wu Huaizhong personally called out to him. He opened his eyes groggily, realizing he had fallen asleep. They had now reached the entrance of the alley leading to the old house. There was no parking at the alley entrance, so the drivers parked the vehicles elsewhere. Lin Tian led Wu Huaizhong and the others into the old house. The old house, long unoccupied, looked particularly dilapidated. Yet Lin Tian stood before it, gazing nostalgically at the home that held memories of his childhood. According to their agreed construction plan, this old house would be demolished and rebuilt into a large 7-story, 150-square-meter shelter. And as per his ideas, several underground levels might also be added to the shelter. Every aspect would strive for the utmost perfection. At that time, this place would become a true bastion of iron and steel, an impregnable apocalypse. While the construction team was surveying the house, Lin Tian pulled out his phone and began fiddling with it. The World Cup had recently started, and there were many online football betting activities. Many fans joined in. Some people gained considerable income through betting, even getting rich overnight. Others lost their pocket money, their savings, and even ended up bankrupt and ruined. Several people were reported jumping off buildings every day in the news. Some rejoiced while others grieved. And he was undoubtedly the winner. He clicked into a legitimate sports lottery platform. As soon as he entered, he saw the upcoming matches. The first one was the game between Country F and Country G. The match would start in 8 minutes, making it the perfect time to place a bet. As everyone knew, although the people of Country F had a tendency to forget history and the misdeeds of their predecessors, they were quite skilled at football, ranking among the top 5 in the world. Country G, a nation with a formidable combative spirit, was on good terms with Dragon Country, and its people were generally upright and hospitable, but they lagged far behind in football. Therefore, most bets were placed on Country F. It seemed the majority believed Country F would win. But Lin Tian saw the hidden prompt and knew the outcome would be different. This is a football match. Betting on Country G will yield a 4-5-fold return. Betting on a score of 2-5 will yield a 13-6-fold return. Upon seeing this prompt, Lin Tian immediately went all in with the several 100,000 yuan he had on hand. Although his balance was instantly cleared, he wasn't worried. After all, in an hour or two, he would get a return of over 10 million yuan. At that point, he could continue betting for even higher returns. After placing the bet, Lin Tian continued scrolling. The second match was between Dragon Country and Country T, starting at 11 that night. Almost all bets were overwhelmingly placed on Country T. It wasn't that the people of Dragon Country didn't love their nation, it was simply that the national football team played terribly. Even the veteran fan brother Refund would jump up and shout, "RNM, give me my money back." The hidden prompt's predicted score of 0-6 confirmed this. Although he would have money to bet again in an hour or two, and betting on Country T was a sure win, he didn't want to, simply because the return rate was too low. Having planned his next bets, Lin Tian opened his browser, searched for a generator, and tapped the screen a few times. Instantly, many different strings of 5-digit numbers appeared on the screen. The welfare lottery had 3 types of pure number games: 5-digit, 8-digit, and 11-digit. The odds of winning and the corresponding prizes varied. The 5-digit game had the highest odds, but the top prize was a measly 1 million yuan. The 8-digit game had average odds with a top prize of several million yuan. The 11-digit game had the lowest odds, with most people winning only 5 or 10 yuan, but the top prize reached tens of millions. That was the one his girlfriend's younger brother Zhou Tingting had won. Although he could see hidden prompts, the 11-digit numbers were too numerous. Quickly finding the winning numbers for future draws among them was like looking for a needle in a haystack. The safest approach was to occasionally win the 5-digit lottery. The amounts weren't large, they could be cashed at the lottery shop, and they wouldn't attract attention. Exchanging 20 yuan for 1 million was a sure profit. This is a string of ordinary numbers. This is a string of ordinary numbers. This is the phone number of a deceased doctor. This is... Lin Tian quickly previewed the hidden prompts at a rate of 2 or 3 per second. In just 2 hours, he found the winning welfare lottery numbers for 13 days of the coming month. In other words, he could obtain 13 million yuan from this. Lin Tian rubbed his eyes, saved the interface, and planned to find the remaining lottery numbers when he had time. It would be best to find a few 8-digit and 11-digit winning numbers as well. With these, obtaining a small goal through the welfare lottery was no problem. All this money would be used to build this shelter, hire bodyguards, and so on. He only had to pay a 10% deposit for building the shelter. The bodyguard salaries could be paid monthly, and payment for other equipment and facilities could be delayed or just covered by a deposit. In this way, he could achieve a purchasing power of 1 billion yuan with just 100 million. At that moment, Wu Huaizhong walked over. "Mr. Lin, what's the matter?" He slowly looked up and put his phone into his pocket. "Mr. Lin, the first batch of construction materials has arrived. These materials will be used to rebuild the courtyard walls and partially reconstruct the house. We will soon demolish and rebuild your house. Here is the dynamic preview we made." Wu Huaizhong handed a tablet to Lin Tian. The dynamic preview looked highly technological. The construction materials for the courtyard walls and the house were all top tier. The top of the courtyard was also fitted with the most advanced transparent materials, making any other building material on the market look inferior. Moreover, there were independent water and electricity systems, air purification systems, and more. Unless the earth exploded or a meteor fell, no matter how harsh the external environment, one could live comfortably and happily here. Lin Tian looked at the dynamic preview displayed on the tablet, very satisfied with the effect shown. "Alright, proceed with this plan. You guys go ahead, I'll come back tomorrow to pay the remaining deposit." It happened that the money from the football bet had been withdrawn. Lin Tian intentionally flashed the balance of over 10 million yuan on his phone to reassure Wu Huaizhong. Wu Huaizhong's mouth opened in surprise, then he smiled and said, "No rush, I trust you, Mr. Lin. Please rest assured our team is very experienced in this area. We will definitely deliver a satisfactory result." "Good." Lin Tian left. Antique Street. Lin Tian came out of the welfare lottery shop at the street entrance and walked along Antique Street, carefully examining the items displayed on the roadside stalls. This is a high imitation folk kiln product worth 500 yuan. This is a low imitation Republic of China porcelain with flaws worth 20 yuan. This is a low imitation Tang Sansai. The imitation is too poor, and the bottom is severely damaged, worth 2 yuan. Seeing these hidden prompts, Lin Tian couldn't help but frown. The things on these roadside stalls were really unreliable, one after another. They could only fool laymen. He shook his head helplessly and planned to check out the antique shops. He had to pay the remaining deposit tomorrow, and finding a bargain in antiques was undoubtedly the best way to get money. Just then his attention was caught by a painting on one of the stalls. This is a low imitation painting by a famous Tang Dynasty painter with damage worth 10 yuan. It contains an authentic work by a famous Tang Dynasty painter worth 50 million yuan. 50 million yuan. Lin Tian took a deep breath, hardly believing his eyes. He never expected to find a Tang Dynasty authentic painting worth 50 million yuan at this small stall. He forced himself to calm down, pretending to browse casually, looking here and there, and soon arrived in front. He touched this one, looked at that one. Soon he was drawn to that tattered painting. He immediately picked it up. The dust fell from the grayish painting, revealing a conspicuous crack. The stall owner let out a miserable cry. "Oh my. My famous Tang Dynasty painting. Compensate me, you have to pay up." The surrounding stall owners couldn't help but show sympathetic expressions. Well, another sucker. These stall owners had been here for so long that they were long accustomed to this vendor's antics and no longer found them surprising. Yet every time they saw a new sucker fall for it, they couldn't help but feel a twinge of sympathy. Though they too sold imitations and replicas, their prices were not exorbitant, and they felt no guilt selling to curious young outsiders or insiders seeking decorative pieces. But this vendor was different. Not only were all his goods counterfeit, but the prices were also exorbitantly high, cheating whoever he could, and he even used severely damaged items to stage accidents. Of course, sympathy aside, they would not come to the rescue. Despite the elderly vendor's advanced age, her son and daughter wielded considerable influence. Offending them would mean the end of their business here. I didn't mean to. Lin Tian feigned panic and fluster. This nervous and flustered demeanor made him look like a complete novice. The elderly vendor shot up and roared, "Whether you meant it or not, what difference does it make? You've ruined my Tang Dynasty masterpiece. You owe me 1 million. 1 million. Lin Tian stared at her in shock, his face instantly clouded with distress. I am just a poor wage earner. Where would I get that kind of money?" he stammered, looking deeply remorseful. "Then how much do you have?" the vendor demanded, her dead fish eyes fixed on Lin Tian like a predator on its prey. Lin Tian shrank back in exaggerated fear, trembling as he extended his hand. The vendor softened her tone. 500,000 will do. Lin Tian quickly shook his head. The vendor's eyes bulged again as she bellowed, 50,000. That's far too little. This is a Tang Dynasty masterpiece worth 1 million. You're offering me 50,000. Lin Tian looked at her with a pained expression and shook his head again. He took 2 fearful steps back and mumbled, "Not even 50,000. The vendor's face darkened further, finally finding a sucker. How could he be so poor? Still, if not 50,000, extorting 5,000 wouldn't be bad. With that thought, she pressed on, "Surely you have 5,000. No, I only have 500. Lin Tian looked at her pitifully. The vendor's eyes widened even more. She stared at him incredulously and asked repeatedly, 500. 500 yuan. A grown man in his 20s or 30s with only 500 in his pocket. Lin Tian nodded weakly, his body stiff with tension. He pleaded shakily, "I was wrong. I didn't mean it. Please don't call the police. They'll transfer all 503 yuan to you." Lin Tian's pitiful appearance stirred sympathy in many hearts. It also convinced the vendor that he truly had only 500 yuan. The vendor looked at him contemptuously and snorted, Fine, 500 it is. Keep the 3 yuan to buy a bowl and beg for food." Lin Tian's woeful face instantly lit up with joy. He clasped his hands together in gratitude. "Thank you, Auntie. You're a true saint. You know it. Now transfer the money. And watch your step next time. If it weren't for me, you'd be in real trouble today." The vendor rolled her eyes dramatically. She was utterly disgusted with Lin Tian. What a gullible fool, no wonder he only had 500. He might as well have been living like a dog. As if afraid she might change her mind, Lin Tian quickly scanned the 500 yuan transfer, bowed to her, and hurried away, clutching the damaged painting. A wave of sighs rippled through the crowd. The stall owners pitied Lin Tian, the naive boy. Out of his total of 503 yuan, the vendor had swindled 500. What a poor soul. Too bad they didn't follow him. If they had seen Lin Tian exchange that 500 yuan wreck of a painting for tens of millions, who knows what expressions they'd wear. Surely their faces would be priceless. Meanwhile, Lin Tian had already navigated through the crowd and arrived at the largest antique shop on the street, Jubao Antiques. The shop was bustling with customers, alive with activity. But in Lin Tian's eyes, a far more intriguing scene unfolded. Take the middle-aged man with a receding hairline, for instance. His hidden prompt was quite amusing. This is Zhou Kai, a wealthy merchant from Qingshui County worth 8 billion. Then a couple with a vast age gap walked by, and their hidden prompts were even more entertaining. This is a gold digger. Though wealthy, she enjoys being a mistress. This is a drifter who often poses as a tycoon to seduce women for their bodies and money. Lin Tian cast a sardonic glance at the pair and strode deeper into the shop. A beautiful woman with a kind face and an Atau-Tofton appearance brushed past him. Catching sight of her hidden prompt, he broke into a cold sweat. This is Zhou Tingting, the primary suspect in the 709 serial murder case. She has been on the run for a decade, committing further crimes during her flight. The police have offered a 5 million yuan reward for her capture. He forced himself to walk forward calmly, stealing glances over his shoulder. Only after the woman had left did he slip into a corner and call the police. Soon the wail of sirens grew closer, then fell silent near the antique shop. A few minutes later the sirens sounded again, fading into the distance until they were no longer audible. Meanwhile, 2 missed calls appeared on his phone. No need to guess, they were from the police. He exchanged a few texts with them, arranging to collect the reward and a commendation banner at the station the next day. Only then did he casually approach the counter, pulling out the damaged painting. "I'd like to sell this painting," he said. The young clerk glanced at him as if he were an idiot before returning to his work. Just then the shopkeeper emerged from the back, frowning at the battered painting in Lin Tian's hand. Nevertheless, the shopkeeper approached politely and asked, "Young man, you want to sell this painting?" "Yes," Lin Tian replied. The shopkeeper chuckled. "You've been fooled, young man. This painting is clearly a forgery, and with such a large flaw, it wouldn't even serve as a decoration." "I know. But what if I told you there's a genuine Tang Dynasty masterpiece hidden inside this forgery?" Lin Tian said calmly. The shopkeeper's pupils contracted, and he snapped to full attention. The young clerk looked up in shock, his dismissive attitude vanishing. Under the stunned gaze of everyone present, Lin Tian calmly tore open the counterfeit painting, revealing a magnificent landscape painting that unfolded before their eyes. Everyone was astonished. Who would have thought there was another painting hidden inside the forgery? The shopkeeper carefully took the landscape painting, examining it intently with a magnifying glass. After a long while, the shopkeeper burst into laughter. "Young man, you have excellent taste. This is indeed an authentic work by the renowned Tang Dynasty calligrapher and painter Ho Wan. I am willing to purchase this painting for 50 million yuan. Upon hearing this, the crowd turned their heads in astonishment. Their gazes fell upon Lin Tian, and their surprise deepened. Yet 50 million was undoubtedly a premium price even within the antique circles, especially since many rare antiques and masterpieces had already been secured by connoisseurs rarely circulating in the market. A painting valued at 50 million was even more extraordinary. Never did they expect to witness such a piece here. Even more astonishing was that this 50 million painting came from Lin Tian himself. This young man appeared barely over 20, yet he possessed such a precious artwork. Lin Tian chuckled and said, "The offer is rather mediocre. Perhaps I should seek elsewhere." Although the hidden prompt indicated the painting was worth 50 million and the shopkeeper's offer matched that, he still felt the need to haggle. "Please wait, young friend. I am sincere about acquiring this painting, but truly my price is quite fair. If you find it insufficient, how about I add another 3 million? The shopkeeper cradled the painting, delicately reluctant to let Lin Tian take it back. Lin Tian furrowed his brow, feigning dissatisfaction. Witnessing this, the shopkeeper grew anxious. Just as he hesitated whether to raise the bid, a resonant voice suddenly cut through the crowd. 70 million. All eyes turned toward the source of the voice. Lin Tian instinctively glanced at the hidden prompt and was stunned by what he saw. This is Zhou Tingting, son of the financial tycoon Zhou Wei. He is upright and honest with a passion for collecting. In 2 months, he will become a lightning-type superhuman. Superhuman. Lin Tian's pupils dilated. This was the first time he had encountered such information in a hidden prompt. Though he died early in his past life, he had witnessed the horrors of the apocalypse and the might of superhumans. Yet superhumans were exceedingly rare, truly 1 in 1,000. Especially those with natural elemental abilities like wind, rain, lightning, and thunder, who were harder to find than a needle in a haystack. He never expected to encounter one just a day after his rebirth. A sudden idea sprouted in Lin Tian's mind. Since he could identify future superhumans through hidden prompts, why not seek them out in advance and gather them under his banner? What was hoarding goods compared to this? He intended to amass a terrifyingly powerful team of... Forming a team has its pros and cons. The drawbacks lie primarily in human nature. Betrayal is a risk. However, the protagonist has considered this and is prepared. Moreover, he can utilize hidden prompts to foresee and counter such threats. Knowing who intends to harm him allows him to avoid danger. The benefits are also clear. Humans are social creatures and struggle with prolonged isolation. After the apocalypse, facilities like hospitals will barely function. What happens if he falls ill? A shelter is fine, but can one stay cooped up forever? Remember those 3 years. Even a month of lockdown felt suffocating. No one could endure a lifetime of confinement. Even if one could stay home forever, what meaning would such a life hold? Venturing out, however, invites danger. Others, knowing he has a shelter and endless supplies, would surely covet his resources. Stepping outside makes one an easy target, and the external world is fraught with perils. Can he truly protect himself alone? This is precisely why I choose not to be a lone wolf, hence the decision to build a team. Zhou Tingting strode over quickly. Lin Tian suppressed his excitement, cleared his throat, and asked, "Brother, are you certain you want this painting?" "Yes." Zhou Tingting barely glanced at the painting, wrote a check for 70 million, and slapped it onto the counter. Staring at the long string of digits, Lin Tian smiled with satisfaction. Surely no one could offer a higher price. The shopkeeper let out a long, reluctant sigh, handing the painting to Lin Tian, as if parting with his own flesh. The gesture spoke volumes. "Young friend, so this painting goes to young Master Zhou." Lin Tian nodded. "Yes, it seems this painting and the shopkeeper were never meant to be." "Very well, congratulations to both you and young Master Zhou." The shopkeeper smiled bitterly. How could he dare to compete with the young master of the Zhou family? Lin Tian realized from the address that the shopkeeper and Zhou Tingting were well acquainted. No wonder Zhou Tingting had bought the painting without even looking at it. He wondered if he would cross paths with Zhou Tingting again. A lightning-type superhuman. Such beings possessed truly fearsome power. And then there was Zhou Tingting's background. Though money would become worthless after the apocalypse, the wealthy still fared better than the poor, especially those with immense financial clout. Their connections and resources were not to be underestimated. The shopkeeper nodded. Lin Tian finally handed the painting to Zhou Tingting and pocketed the 70 million check. Seeing Zhou Tingting about to leave, Lin Tian immediately called out to him. "Brother, wait a moment." Zhou Tingting looked at him suspiciously. "What is it?" "Add me on WeChat. I might have other antiques to sell in the future. If you're interested, we can deal directly," Lin Tian said with a cheerful smile. Since Zhou Tingting loved collecting, using antiques as a pretext to strengthen their connection might prove useful someday. Even if Zhou Tingting as a lightning superhuman couldn't help him after the apocalypse, at least before it struck, he could rely on hidden prompts to find bargains and sell them to this wealthy scion. With money, he could arm himself to the teeth. He might even use this rich friend to meet other influential figures. Connections were an invaluable asset. "All right, let me know immediately if you find anything good. They'll pay top dollar for anything that catches my interest." Just as expected, Zhou Tingting grew excited at the mention of antiques and eagerly added Lin Tian as a contact. After exchanging a few pleasantries, Lin Tian hurriedly left. The money was in hand. Now it was time to pay the remaining deposit and start hoarding superhumans. Upon receiving the 40 million remaining deposit, Wu Huaizhong beamed with delight. "Mr. Lin is a man of his word. We must not disappoint you. I have contacted headquarters. Tomorrow another construction team will be dispatched to accelerate progress, ensuring your shelter is built on time and to the highest standards." Lin Tian nodded and pulled out another bank card. Wu Huaizhong asked curiously, "Mr. Lin, what is—" "I recall you mentioned that some materials can be coated with anti-radiation layers and equipped with purification systems. If it doesn't compromise other features, I want those added as well. And also," Lin Tian explained his requirements in detail. Wu Huaizhong grew increasingly astonished. If built according to his specifications, this would be a true super shelter. One that could withstand 8 lifetimes of confinement, countless magnitude 9 earthquakes, and endless natural disasters without issue. But the cost would be astronomically high, at least 10 billion yuan. However, Wu Huaizhong smiled wryly and said apologetically, "Mr. Lin, your vision is impressive, but it's far beyond the capabilities of our construction company, or indeed any construction firm in the world. Moreover, this cannot be completed in 20 days. Not even in 200 days. Hearing this, Lin Tian felt a deep sense of regret. As expected, his ideas were still too idealistic. Nevertheless, he was willing to spend more to upgrade the shelter as much as possible. The apocalypse would last at least several decades. His shelter had to be built to perfection. Only then could he withstand the end of the world. He still longed to return to a normal life. Lin Tian took a deep breath and said earnestly, "Then build it to the best of your ability within 20 days. Rest assured, money is no object." Lin Tian spoke with an air of unbridled arrogance. Naturally, he possessed the grounds for such boldness. After selling that ancient painting to Wu Huaizhong for 70 million, he had successfully stumbled upon several more antiques. Though their value did not reach 70 million, they still amounted to an astonishing 30 million. In the span of a mere moment, he had earned himself a small fortune. The speed at which money came to him made him wonder if he had been blessed by the goddess of fortune. Yet he knew that such luck would not last forever. He could not always stumble upon immensely valuable antiques. Still, with a bit more effort, it was possible to amass several more small fortunes. It would merely cost him additional time and energy. After paying the remaining deposit of 40 million, Lin Tian still had over 70 million left in hand. He directly allocated 50 million of that to a full upgrade of his shelter. Though 50 million might not seem much for such an upgrade, one had to remember he only needed to pay a 10% deposit. This meant that the 50 million effectively represented a value of 500 million. The resulting effect was truly remarkable. As for the worry that the construction company might cheat him, nonsense. What was the use of his hidden insight? He could tell at a glance if there was any trickery. Lin Tian stayed on as a supervisor for a while, watching everything proceed smoothly before deciding to leave. Just then a bald, old man peeked over in his direction, craning his neck. Seeing this man, Lin Tian couldn't help but chuckle. Wasn't this old man Wang Dahu from the neighboring alley? That sanctimonious hypocrite, wasn't he paralyzed from a car accident? How after only half a year had he gotten back on his feet and come to visit him? Hey Lin Tian, you're back. I was just wondering why your house was being torn down before the demolition date. Wang Dahu approached Lin Tian, speaking with a cheeky grin. Just want to rebuild it. Lin Tian's tone was distant. Well, you've come into money starting to renovate houses now, Wang Dahu said with a laugh. Lin Tian remained silent. This old fox never had any good intentions. Trying to cozy up now, had probably asked to borrow money in a bit. Speaking of wealth, my son is the one who's truly rich. He's gone and bought a Rolls Royce, Wang Dahu said with a smug grin. Oh really? That impressive? Lin Tian breathed a sigh of relief. This guy was starting to brag, which meant he probably wouldn't ask for a loan. As for the possibility of his words being true, that was utterly unthinkable. It wasn't that he was judging a book by its cover, but this man was simply not destined for wealth. This fellow was lazy and gluttonous. At 40 or 50, hardly on death's door, he spent his days doing nothing of substance, just wandering here and there. Every day was either bragging or borrowing money. Today had boast about a wealthy woman falling for him, offering 500 a month, and tomorrow had ask a neighbor for 300. When asked to repay, had play the victim and blame the other party. This old geezer was the most hypocritical of all. His son had truly inherited his essence. Being lazy, boastful, a liar, and a borrower was bad enough. But he was also a master of moral coercion. He could spout a stream of righteous words, making it seem like anyone who didn't help him lacked all virtue. And some naive fools actually fell for his nonsense, even speaking up for him. Could a scumbag like that afford a Rolls Royce? Even renting one for a day would probably require a loan. Yeah, my son's making good money now. See that black one over there? That's his Rolls Royce. You know what? Rolls Royces are amazing. They have a little golden figure on the front, solid gold worth millions. The moment Lin Tian engaged, Wang Dahu grew even more animated. This bragging was so absurd it left Lin Tian speechless. When did the little golden figure on a Rolls Royce become worth millions? If he remembered correctly, wasn't the thing only worth a few $100,000? He recalled a story about a mischievous kid snapping one off, causing quite a stir. Several neighbors, curious about the demolished house, saw Wang Dahu enter and gathered around to see Seeing the crowd grow, Wang Dahu proudly lifted his noble head and repeated his earlier claims. With that haughty air, one might think he was a hen laying golden eggs. Lin Tian chuckled softly, turning his gaze to the sullen-faced Wu Huaizhong beside him. I never expected your company's Rolls Royce to be borrowed from this man's son. Lin Tian's teasing remark made Wu Huaizhong's scowl even darker. Wang Dahu's face turned an appalling shade of horror. It felt as if an invisible hand had delivered 2 vicious slaps across his cheeks. No, Mr. Lin. He's lying. This car belongs to our company. To better serve our clients, our company purchased a fleet of vehicles befitting their status for convenient transportation. Wu Huaizhong spoke with utmost politeness. His words were an explanation to Lin Tian, but even more so a brutal slap to Wang Dahu's face. Lin Tian looked at Wang Dahu with a mocking grin. Uncle Wang, didn't you say this car was your son's? What's going on here? Surely you wouldn't lie to a younger fellow just to show off in front of me. Wang Dahu's face flushed crimson as he stammered. I must have been mistaken. It was so far away, how could I see clearly? Lin Tian smiled. Ah, so Uncle Wang was mistaken. Then your memory should be reliable, shouldn't it? Huh. Wang Dahu was utterly confused, but still replied, yes, it's reliable. Then you remember you owe me 300 yuan. Since your son is rich enough to buy a Rolls Royce, he can surely pay back my 300. I think there's no time like the present. Why not settle the debt today? Building this house has cost me a lot, and I'm a bit strapped for cash. I'm sure you, Uncle Wang, are a reasonable man who wouldn't deliberately refuse to repay when you have the means. Lin Tian stared coldly at Wang Dahu. Years ago, when both his parents had died, leaving him a naive middle schooler despite Wang Dahu's already tarnished reputation, the man had managed to coax him into lending 300 yuan. Wang Dahu had promised to repay by the year's end, but he had dragged it on for over a decade, not returning a single penny. That sum might be insignificant to him now, but it was still his money, and he was determined to get it back. Wang Dahu's face alternated between pale and green, wishing he could find a hole to crawl into. He racked his brain, but couldn't find a single excuse not to repay. The problem was, He wanted to repay, but where would he find that much money? Forget a Rolls-Royce. His son's motorcycle had been running for years without being replaced. The neighbors, all too familiar with Wang Dahe's character, began to murmur among themselves, causing him to lose all face. Wang Dahe stiffened his neck and brazenly said, "We're all neighbors. We see each other every day. Why be so petty about it? It's just 300,000 yuan. They'll pay you back in a couple of days." Lin Tian narrowed his eyes, refusing to back down. "Oh really? You've been saying that for over 10 years. I don't know when it became a rule that neighbors shouldn't be bothered over 300 yuan, but I do know this: what's owed to me must be returned." Recalling Wang Dahe's deeds, Lin Tian was utterly infuriated. Had it not been for Wang Dahe's failure to repay the debt back, then he wouldn't have had to drop out before finishing high school and go to work as a laborer at a construction site. Had he not striven relentlessly in his spare time to teach himself, gaining admission to a prestigious university and learning skills like programming, he wouldn't now have a good job earning a monthly salary of 20 to 30,000. Without a diploma, connections, or any skill, he would still be hauling bricks at the construction site. Today, even if Wang Dahe didn't have a single coin in his pocket, even if he had to borrow money, he would have to spit out what he owed. Just then, Aunt Lee from the next alley jumped out. "Where forgiveness is possible, show mercy. Why push him so hard?" Lin Tian was so angry he laughed. Push him hard. That scoundrel Wang Dahe owed him money for years without repaying, nearly ruining his life. Who was really pushing whom? Unexpectedly, Aunt Lee's words riled up the other neighbors as well. "Yeah, you must have spent hundreds of thousands renovating your house. Why haggle over his 30,000? More than hundreds of thousands, I'd say. From what the builders said, you're a major client of their company. They even served you with a Rolls-Royce. You must be really wealthy. Listen to your uncle. Don't fuss over Uncle Wang anymore. We see each other all the time. Don't be so petty." Shaolin listened to Aunt Lee. "Let this go. I even held you when you were little. You're rich now, but you can't forget your roots. You can't be so calculating and harm neighborly harmony." A cold glint flashed in Lin Tian's eyes as he completely gave up on these overly sanctimonious neighbors. He had originally planned, given their years of acquaintance, to at least warn them to prepare before the apocalypse. And he had even thought of helping them after the apocalypse struck. But these people were still the same old dogs who couldn't change their ways. Every single one of them was as hypocritical as ever, generously sacrificing others' interests. Since that was the case, he would not give a damn about these wretches. "You speak so nicely. Those who know might think him the creditor, but those who don't might think him the one in debt. Just let it go. If someone owed you 30,000, would you let it slide? I don't suppose anyone's money just blows in with the wind, does it? Letting him put it off this long is already generous enough, isn't it? If you really think 30,000 is nothing and you're not short of cash, fine. You can pay it back for him. Split it among yourselves, and it's only about 1,000 each. Come on, help him pay up." Lin Tian sneered, holding up his phone with the payment QR code displayed, thrusting it toward the neighbors. Every single neighbor recoiled as if they had encountered a plague. Seeing their reactions, Lin Tian found it utterly absurd. These sanctimonious busybodies acted as if paying 1,000 on behalf of Wang Dahe would cost them their lives. Yet they had the nerve to tell him to just forget about the 30,000. Grandpa Su, who had been urging Lin Tian to drop the matter, once again stepped in as a peacemaker. "Wang Dahe, just pay back what you owe Shaolin, and hell, stop making a fuss." Grandpa Su was obsessed with authority. In his youth, he had been in charge of the neighborhood brigade. Even after retirement, when the neighborhood came under community management, he still loved meddling in every little affair just to relive his days of power. He would even meddle in trivial petty matters and loved to smooth things over. Thanks to the prestige he had built up in his younger days, quite a few neighbors actually listened to him. Hearing Grandpa Zu's words, Wang Dahe deflated like a punctured balloon. "Don't you all know what I'm like? Where would I get the money to pay? My son driving a sports car was all just my boasting. Forcing me to pay back 30,000. That's practically asking for my old life." Uncle Wang put on a pitiful act. Seeing his miserable state, Grandpa Zu's sanctimonious heart welled up again. But before Grandpa Su could speak, Lin Tian shoved the payment QR code in front of him. Grandpa Zu's face stiffened, and he wisely shut his mouth. Lin Tian smiled and looked at Uncle Wang. "Uncle Wang, if you don't pay me back today, I'm calling the police. 30,000 over a decade. That amount is enough to land you 2 years in prison." In their world, unlike the Earth depicted in novels, defaulting on debts didn't result in a bad credit record or restrictions on high consumption. Here there was no credit blacklist or spending limits, but if you didn't repay and the creditor pressed charges, you'd end up in jail, though the debt wouldn't be canceled. At the mention of jail time, Uncle Wang turned pale with terror. He stammered, I really don't have the money." Lin Tian remained unyielding. "If you don't have it, borrow it. If you can't, take out an online loan. If you don't pay, he'll have you sent to prison. When you get out, he'll still hound you. If you can't pay, then he'll have you locked up again." Seeing that Lin Tian was not backing down, Uncle Wang could only pin his hopes on the neighbors. Before he could even speak, the neighbors all stepped back in unison, leaving a large, empty space around. Borrowing money was out of the question, so Uncle Wang had to take out an online loan to pay. With the 30,000 in his account, Lin Tian felt immensely satisfied. What a relief. He had finally gotten his money back. As for whether he should retaliate against Uncle Wang for such a long delay, of course he should. But the hidden prompt had said that within a week of the apocalypse's arrival, Uncle Wang would freeze to death. He wouldn't bother settling scores with a man about to die. With the 30,000 in hand, there was no reason for Lin Tian to linger. He left immediately and went to a high-end restaurant for a meal. The dishes there were exquisite in color, aroma, and taste, each one a rare delicacy in the world. The prices were also astonishingly high, with a per-person average of several thousand. But for someone who could easily earn a small fortune, this amount was nothing. After all, he had just won nearly $1 million from buying scratch-off tickets at several lottery shops. He had also acted as a bounty hunter, twice earning $6 million in rewards from the police station. Savoring the delicious food, he was in high spirits. He immediately splurged millions to order multiple portions of various gourmet dishes. He also contacted 20 more reliable banquet services, ordering tens of thousands of high-end feasts, as well as tens of thousands of mid- and low-end feasts. This round cost him over $20 million. If it were just for himself, even eating one feast a day, tens of thousands would last 100 years. Ordering so much was certainly wasteful. But this wasn't just for himself. It was also for the people he was about to stockpile. Besides ability users, he also wanted to recruit talents like renowned doctors, blacksmiths, and master chefs. There would be many people to stockpile. With a large crowd, descent was inevitable. Using mid to low-end feasts costing a few hundred per table to reward these talents and win their loyalty was the most fitting approach. Suddenly his phone screen lit up. His girlfriend had sent him a message. Zhou Tingting, I'm going home to see my parents. They'll be back in a few days. Seeing her profile picture and name, a chill ran down his spine as he once again recalled the scene of her causing his death in his past life. He stared at the screen with hatred in his eyes, but typed a warm reply. Silly, why didn't you take me along? I want to see my future in-laws more often. Zhou Tingting quickly replied, oh, I just missed them. Missed them? Hadn't she just gone back 2 weeks ago? And she video called home every day. How could she miss them so much that she couldn't even wait to bring him along? Why was it that whenever he brought up going back with her, she said she didn't want to go home? He suspected that going home was a lie. The real reason was to go back and meet a rich second-generation suitor. In his past life, he had foolishly believed she missed home, so she often went back alone. He thought for a moment and replied, it's good that you have such filial piety. Stay home for a while longer. Remember to send my regards to your parents. During this time, he would be constantly preparing for the apocalypse. If Zhou Tingting were here, she would inevitably interrogate him or even want to go out with him. Taking this opportunity to let Zhou Tingting stay home for a while was a good thing. But getting her family to drain their savings would require more careful planning. I don't know what my brother is busy with. He hasn't replied to my messages. When he does, he'll definitely give him a scolding. Don't worry, he'll definitely buy this house. Don't sell it to anyone else. Seeing Zhou Tingting's message, Lin Tian quickly pulled out Zhou Haiyang's phone from his pocket. When he opened it, Zhou Tingting had indeed sent several messages. Staring at the contact information for Zhou Tingting's family on the phone, a brilliant revenge plan suddenly dawned on him. How could I sell the old house to someone else? He's your own brother, so of course I have to side with him. Lin Tian let out a cold laugh. Of course he wouldn't sell the old house to anyone else. Because he intended to turn it into a top-tier shelter. Love you, moi. When you make money from your investments, remember to hand it over to me. He'll save it for you. Once we've saved enough, we'll get married and have a few chubby kids. Zhou Tingting's messages were filled with concern. Judging solely by these words, she seemed like a prudent and understanding girlfriend. Unfortunately, he had seen her true colors and knew she only viewed him as an ATM, someone she would only marry if she failed to land a wealthy scion. This trick could no longer fool him. Lin Tian exchanged a few more perfunctory words with Zhou Tingting before exiting the chat. After eating his fill, he quickly found a secluded spot, took Zhou Haiyang's phone, and edited a message to send to Zhou Tingting. Sis, I need help, emergency. Zhou Tingting replied instantly, where the hell have you been? I sent you so many messages, and you didn't reply. He immediately mimicked Zhou Haiyang's tone and replied, what else? Playing Genshin Impact. You wouldn't get it anyway. How much money do you have on hand? I need it urgently. Zhou Tingting quickly responded, did you gamble again? Didn't I tell you to stop? Last time you owed over 80,000, I gave you that sucker's year-end bonus. Now you're in debt again. Where am I supposed to find money for you? Huh, so the freeloader was also a gambling addict. Sis, you're bringing up old grudges again. Can you stop harping on that little thing? This time is different from before. I'm doing big business. If you give me 100,000, I can earn back 200,000 next month. Give me $1 million, and it'll bring back 2 million. Well, split the profits 50-50. Lin Tian sent a few more messages. Zhou Tingting quickly replied with a lengthy voice message. 2 million. What kind of business is that profitable? The big boss in meeting for a blind date tomorrow doesn't even earn that much in a year. But, are you sure you haven't been scammed? That money comes too fast. Oh my god, that's insane. It was clear Zhou Tingting was excited, her voice trembling with emotion. They say long hair short wit. You truly live up to that saying. You know about online shopping, right? The domestic market is cutthroat, but overseas is different. Giants like Taobao, Pinduoduo, and JD don't have a foothold there. It's a blue ocean. I don't understand it well, but others do. I just invest in them and sit back for a 100 dividend. Lin Tian's words only made Zhou Tingting more excited. That does make sense. Even in a wealthy country like the US, their online shopping isn't as advanced as ours. They don't even clear their girlfriend's shopping carts on 520, and Douyin only got introduced there a couple of years ago. Hearing this voice message, Lin Tian rolled his eyes hard. What an idiot. 520 is a homophone for I love you in Chinese. Americans don't speak Chinese, so why would they clear shopping carts? Of course it's real. Look, apart from the 1.5 million for buying Lin's house, the remaining 100,000 is my dividend from running an overseas online store this month. Minus the 50,000 in capital, I still made 50,000 profit. Tell me, isn't it impressive that your little brother earns 50,000 a month? Awesome, right? Image, seeing Zhou Tingting so hooked, Lin Tian fanned the flames by photoshopping a WeChat balance screenshot. Tell me, isn't it impressive that your little brother earns 50,000 a month? Awesome, right? Image, seeing Zhou Tingting so hooked, Lin Tian why don't you hold off on buying that sucker's house? Invest this 1.6 million instead, and next month you'll have 3.2 million. Isn't that better? Zhou Tingting quickly sent 2 more voice messages. Lin Tian could feel her excitement through the screen. Sis, are you stupid? If I don't buy Lin's house, and he sells it to someone else, won't we lose out on a huge profit? Besides, Lin's a lovesick fool, not a complete idiot. If we suddenly don't buy his house with 1.5 million, hell no, we're using the money for something else. Then hell, sell the old house, and invest in this too, making a fortune. Then see if you can keep him in check. Lin Tian spoke with such conviction that he completely bewildered Zhou Tingting. That makes sense, sis supports you. But after you dad and mom scrape together 1.5 million, we don't have much left. If we invest it all, what will we live on? Lin Tian immediately replied, my silly sis, if you're short on cash, can't you borrow from friends and relatives? Or take out a loan? The interest is nothing compared to the 100 dividend well earned. I'm telling you, the reason they're letting us invest is because they're short on funds. Once they're rolling in money and don't need capital, we won't have a chance to get in on the dividends. After a few minutes, Zhou Tingting replied, that makes sense, but isn't it too risky? I talked to mom and dad, and it feels unreliable. Lin Tian pursed his lips and replied, if you're afraid of being scammed, there's another investment model. Invest now, and in a week you'll get back 20%. The dividend is lower, but you still get 90%. Tell me, if they were scammers and managed to trick you out of your money, would they willingly give some back? Zhou Tingting fell silent again. Lin Tian didn't press further, quietly waiting for her reply. 5 minutes later, a UnionPay deposit alert popped up on Zhou Haiyang's phone screen. Lin Tian smiled. The Zhou family had fallen for it. They'd actually transferred 500,000 in one go. Zhou's mother then messaged, Haiyang mom transferred you 500,000. Did you get it? Lin Tian replied, got it. Invest 100,000 first. If they really return 200,000 in a week, well, invest more. Don't let that guy know. We'll do this on the down low. If we really make big money, your sister will drain his cash and dump him. Seeing Zhou's mother's message, Lin Tian felt even more disgusted with the family. A bunch of leeches. They looked down on him, yet constantly schemed to bleed him dry. Then don't blame him for being ruthless and bringing their family to ruin. Got it, mom. Wait for my good. Over the next week, aside from occasionally checking on the shelter, Lin Tian devoted all his energy to making money and finding ability users. He dabbled in stocks, lottery tickets, and antique picking. He also occasionally captured wanted fugitives for bounties. Relying on hidden clues, he amassed several small fortunes. Almost all the money went into the shelter, with the rest used to recruit ability users and enjoy life. Whenever he spotted an ordinary person who would awaken abilities in the future, he offered them a monthly salary of 100 to work at his shelter starting 20 days later. The hefty pay tempted them immensely, and they eagerly referred friends and relatives to work for him. Unfortunately, his standards were high. Out of hundreds of referrals, he only hired 5. Those 5 were, of course, ability users. He also discovered a pattern: ability users tended to appear near other ability users. Ability awakenings generally occurred in people aged 20 to 40, with some other common traits. Moreover, whenever he focused on ability users, those with abilities in the hidden clues stood out prominently. Even if a large crowd was in front of him, he could instantly spot ability users. With this, his efficiency in finding them grew higher. In a week, he had hired over 500 people across multiple cities who would awaken abilities. Calculated, he would have to pay them over 50 million in monthly wages. But that was just on paper. He never intended to pay. Because before payday arrived the apocalypse would. A week had passed. Before he could contact Zhou Tingting and her family under Zhou Haiyang's name, Zhou Tingting and her parents almost simultaneously sent messages in the family group chat. Zhou Tingting, how did it go? Did that person give you a cut? Little Zhou father, tell me, is that guy a fraud or not? Zhou mother, did he give the money? Tell mom quickly. She patted you and wants to transfer you $1 billion. Lin Tian took out a pre-edited transfer screenshot and sent it to the group. The transfer was made yesterday. He even advanced 10,000. Look. Zhou Tingting, wow, he even advanced 10,000. This person is really kind. Zhou father, I told you he's a big boss, definitely not a swindler. You two are just narrow-minded women. Zhou mother, what are you saying, you old fool? Who was it that kept muttering it must be a scam these past few days? Zhou father, it wasn't me anyway. Lin Tian picked a sticker to send to the group, also transferred the 30,000 dividend to Zhou mother in the group, and spoke. The money for the investment was yours, so the dividend should go to you. I was wrong before, always making you angry. From now on I'll invest and earn big money and take good care of you. Zhou Haiyang had always been like a giant baby, showing little respect for his parents. His rare display of maturity moved the entire Zhou family. Zhou mother, oh, what are you saying? Isn't this what a mother should do? 3,000 yuan, returned Zhou father, my son has grown up, he's sensible. Zhou Tingting, so you finally admit you always cause trouble at home. Lin Tian silently stared at the screen, finding it bitterly ironic. What a truly loving family. But no matter how loving they were, they had no right to bleed him dry. He was someone's son too. Alright, enough with, are we putting in more money or not? If we are, let's hurry. I'm afraid if they don't need the cash, we'll miss out on. I saw it today, lots of people got this month's payout. The highest earner made 2 million. Image. Lin Tian sent several edited transfer pictures in one go. The moment these transfer images hit the group chat, his girlfriend's family exploded with excitement. His girlfriend bombarded the chat with a flurry of stickers. Though his girlfriend's parents weren't adept at WeChat, they could manage voice messages. They sent several, and just hearing their voices revealed their ecstasy. Zhou mother, invest. We must invest. If your father won't let me, I'll divorce him. Mom already went to borrow from relatives yesterday. Hey, race 50000 first. He'll borrow more from my girlfriends. You put this in along with the rest we haven't invested yet. Zhou father, who said I wouldn't let you? Your mom handles the money, but I can scrape some together too. I borrowed from relatives this morning and even took out an online loan. Got another 50000. Invest it quickly and well, split the profits 50-50. Zhou Tingting, I borrowed from my besties and some blind dates all sent to you. I won't borrow from that loser. You are right, we need to make money on the sly, keep him in the dark. Above Zhou Haiyang's phone screen, several bank transfer notifications popped up in succession. In total it amounted to over 1 million yuan. Seeing this, Lin Tian laughed. Who would have thought? This family, rotten as they were, could still borrow so much money in times like these. His goal was to ruin them completely, to make them lose everything. Only then could he avenge his past life. Damn it, you're driving me crazy. What's the point of just borrowing money? Avenge him against them. His goal was to ruin them completely, to make them lose everything. Only then could he avenge his past life. Damn it, you're driving me crazy. What's the point of just borrowing money? Didn't I tell you last time? You can max out online loans. If I hadn't been unemployed and unable to borrow much, I'd have done it long ago. The loan interest is only a few percent, but we get 100% dividend. And we can sell this house too. Even if we don't sell it, we can mortgage it for at least 1 million. The boss said if we invest over 3 million, we get double the dividend. If we really invest 3 million, they'll give us back 9 million. Once the dividend comes in after paying off the debts, we'll still make millions. Such a golden opportunity to get rich, why aren't you seizing it? Lin Tian frantically persuaded his girlfriend's family. In truth, his words were full of holes, an old worn-out scam. If they had just calmed down and thought it through, they could have easily seen through it. After all, he hadn't even named the so-called investor or company, just faked a few transfer records and shown them the 30,000 yuan dividend. Even a sudden voice call demanding he answer, even if he faked it using Zhou Haiyang's dying voice and image had recorded. If they had asked a simple family question he couldn't answer, he would have been exposed. But Zhou Tingting's family was completely hooked. They had gone mad, lost in a sea of greed, utterly forgetting what caution meant. Zhou Tingting, damn, invest 3 million, get back 9 million. That's a fortune. I'm going to borrow more and take out more online loans. Zhou mother, yes, we must take out online loans and borrow from relatives. If we have to offer them some interest, we'll still make a killing. By the way, how do we mortgage the house? We can't miss this golden chance to get rich. Zhou father, this boss is way too generous. Good heavens, tell me where I can get a loan. They'll take them all. What's a few percent interest compared to our dividends? His girlfriend's family was thoroughly ensnared. They borrowed and loaned frantically, investing it all in Zhou Haiyang. When the house mortgage failed, they simply sold it at a reduced price. They even sold their truck and tricycle. After a whole day of hustling, they managed to scrape together over 4 million yuan. Excluding the proceeds from the house sale, this left his girlfriend's family saddled with nearly 3 million yuan in debt. Yet they felt no fear, only basking in the joy of the impending fortune of 12 million in cash. In fact, his girlfriend had already fully embraced her identity as a wealthy person. How did he know? Because after they transferred all the money, she sent him a breakup message. Though the message was retracted seconds later, he was quick enough to screenshot it. Let's break up. We're from different worlds. You're no longer good enough for me. I'm a millionaire now and I'll earn even more. I'm going to marry a rich second-generation heir. Being with you only brings me down. A millionaire. Clearly, this breakup message was pre-written by his girlfriend, intended to be sent to him after she received the dividends a month later. The reason she sent it and immediately retracted it was undoubtedly because she accidentally hit send. This Zhou Tingting was as ruthless as ever. She only loved money. When he had none, she bled him dry, spending his money yet refusing to marry him, secretly dating wealthy heirs. Now that he was rich, her first thought was to discard him. In his past life, she not only coveted his wealth, but also cost him his life. A person like her deserved no pity. Lin Tian understood Zhou Tingting's every scheme, and his resolve for revenge only hardened. Of course, regarding the message she sent, he wisely pretended not to have seen it. With his great revenge unfulfilled, he had to continue playing along with her family. Using Zhou Haiyang's phone, he chatted with Zhou Tingting's family for a few more moments, mimicking his tone. Zhou Tingting's family still hadn't sensed anything amiss. They were enthusiastically discussing how to spend the over 12 million yuan in dividends. This outcome was both unexpected and reasonable. Unexpected because the deception of his girlfriend's family was progressing so smoothly. Reasonable because his girlfriend's family was ultimately bound to fall for it. It was just like in this day and age where countless people still fall for part-time job scams that require upfront fees. Even the scam of Emperor Qin sending money still has its victims. What did it matter if the trick was old? The key was that there were still plenty of fools to be deceived. As the saying goes, there are too many fools and not enough swindlers. And these victims, before discovering the truth, never considered themselves foolish, who instead, they thought everyone else was the fool. They thought themselves clever, believing they could get rich quickly. Even when they sensed something was wrong and suffered losses, they refused to cut their losses in time. Instead, driven by unwillingness, they poured in more money, hoping for a miraculous recovery. But how could they possibly recover? The swindlers were simply exploiting two of their weaknesses, greed and unwillingness, to fleece them of their money. Thinking about the reaction of Zhou Tingting's family upon discovering they had been cheated, he couldn't help but smile. Just then the phone on the table lit up. It wasn't Zhou Haiyang's phone, but his own. Zhou Tingting's best friend Wu Xueqing had sent him several messages. Baby, are you there? Tingting hasn't come back yet. Aren't you lonely? I'm all alone too. I'm very lonely. How about I come? Let me tell you a secret. I can eat cold things now. Seeing these messages, a flicker of disgust passed through Lin Tian's eyes. This Wu Xueqing was really cheap. Before, when his girlfriend was home, she never spoke to him. But ever since she found out he had sold gold bars for over 1 million, her attitude changed. She constantly messaged him, flattered him, and now was even throwing herself at him. What was the difference between her and a certain kind of egg-laying animal? Lin Tian could never truly respect such a worthless woman. It didn't matter if she was beautiful or had a great figure, because their hearts were dirty. If you're lonely, go find a friend. If you can eat cold things, go eat them. I'm not a cold drink vendor. What do you mean by telling me this? What's it to me? Lin Tian replied bluntly, pretending not to understand the innuendo. Wu Xueqing quickly sent a voice message. Oh, you silly straight man. When I say I can eat cold things, it means I'm not on my period, so we can do some naughty things. Lin Tian played it, and was nearly disgusted enough to throw up his last meal by her syrupy sweet voice. I see. Then go ahead and do whatever you want. I'm busy with something. Lin Tian brushed her off casually. This time Wu Xueqing didn't send a voice message or another cryptic text. Instead, she sent a photo. Seeing the photo, Lin Tian could hardly believe his eyes. It was a picture of Zhou Tingting completely un— How do you have a picture like this? Lin Tian asked out of curiosity. Yes, he was merely curious. After all, he had already been intimate with Zhou Tingting and had seen such things more than once or twice. He never expected Wu Xueqing to have such a photo. He wondered where she got it from. I took it secretly with another phone when I followed Tingting to the hotel. I bet Tingting wouldn't let you take pictures when you two were together. But I'm different. I secretly took several. If you want them, transfer me 20000 and I'll send them all to you. Wu Xueqing said, thinking she was clever. Lin Tian replied indifferently, 200. Do you think I need this? Lin Tian was almost amused by her audacity. 20000. Forget a few photos, even his girlfriend herself wasn't worth 200 in his eyes. Wu Xueqing was silent for a moment, then quickly sent another message. Let me tell you another secret. Tingting didn't go home to visit her parents. She went back for a blind date. Lin Tian laughed. So Wu Xueqing knew that Zhou Tingting wasn't visiting her parents, but was meeting a wealthy heir. It seemed he was the only one in the dark. Now, to curry favor with him, Wu Xueqing was ruthlessly exposing Zhou Tingting's secrets. Such a fair weather friend. No wonder people say a dorm of 6 girls might have a dozen or more group chats. He wondered what Zhou Tingting would think if she knew. She would probably be furious. Alright, I understand. Let's stop here if there's nothing else. Lin Tian sent the message and turned off his phone. On the other end, seeing his reply, the smile on Wu Zhuiking's face instantly froze. She was so angry she almost cursed. Wu Xueqing breathed heavily, rage burning within her. Although she had latched on to several wealthy men, they were either grotesquely fat or frighteningly ugly. Aside from their money, they had nothing to recommend them. But Lin Tian was different. He was both rich and handsome. So she had set her sights on him. Knowing that Zhou Tingting was at home and not with Lin Tian, she took the initiative to contact him. She thought that if she could seduce Lin Tian, her life would become much more comfortable. But he didn't take the bait at all. Even after she revealed all of Zhou Tingting's secrets, Lin Tian remained unmoved and didn't even get angry. What a cuckold. No wonder Zhou Tingting had swindled him so badly. Unable to vent her fury, Wu Xueqing found a pretext and took it all out on her several simp backups. After venting for a while, Wu Xueqing was still unwilling to give up. The image of Lin Tian pulling out 8 gold bars at the jewelry store resurfaced in her mind. The ever-proud Wu Xueqing felt her fighting spirit surge again. No, I refuse to believe I can't get anything out of him. Achoo, achoo. Lin Tian's nose itched as he sneezed several times in a row. Was someone talking about him? He silently grumbled to himself. With a flick of his divine sense, all the items in the room vanished into his spatial storage. The apartment he shared with his girlfriend was rented. Originally, he had planned to live with her to swindle her family's wealth and avenge his past life grievances. Since his girlfriend had returned home and her family had been tricked into emptying their coffers and burdened with millions in debt, there was no need for him to stay here any longer. After all, he could easily amass great wealth and had been preparing for the apocalypse all along. Why not indulge in a life of pleasure before the end arrived? He would feast on the finest delicacies, wear the most exquisite clothes, and of course stay in a 5-star hotel. He quickly searched online for local 5-star hotels and found 3 options to choose from. Using his hidden insight, he immediately selected one and headed over. The 5-star hotel was incredibly luxurious, its grandeur evident even from the outside. True to its reputation, every corner exuded opulence and the scent of money. The concierge at the entrance was stunningly beautiful and elegantly poised, rivaling even the most famous celebrities. Lin Tian strode briskly inside and headed straight for the front desk. Good day, sir. How may I assist you? The receptionist asked politely. I'd like to book the presidential suite for 20 days, Lin Tian said. 20 days? The receptionist stared at him in astonishment. Yes, 20 days. After confirming, the receptionist quickly checked the computer. Sir, we have one presidential suite available that can accommodate a long-term stay. The daily rate for our presidential suite is 188 yuan, including high-quality 3 meals and personalized service. For such an extended booking, we require a 10-day deposit, which amounts to 18880 yuan. Sir, are you certain you wish to proceed? The receptionist asked respectfully, her heart racing with excitement. Nearly 190,000 yuan. Even for a 5-star hotel, this was a high-end expense. Yes, I'm sure, Lin Tian replied with a smile, handing over his bank card and ID. Just then a burly, brutish man with a piggish face pushed Lin Tian aside roughly. He slammed his fat hand on the counter and bellowed, "Book me a presidential suite." Lin Tian's face turned cold, anger flaring as he glared at the pig-like man. But then he noticed a familiar figure hiding behind him and couldn't help but laugh. Wasn't that Wu Xueqing, the gold digger, cowering behind the brute, trying to avoid being seen? Not long ago, she had been fawning over Lin Tian, and now she was following this pig to a hotel. What a diligent little bee. I'm sorry, sir, but we no longer have any presidential suites available, the receptionist said regretfully. No suites. I just asked my dad, and he said there were. Are you playing games with me? The pigman's eyes bulged with rage. Lin Tian glanced at the pigman's hidden profile and discovered he was a nepotism kid, the son of the hotel's lobby manager. They're truly gone, sir. This gentleman just booked it, the receptionist said, shrinking back in fear, clearly aware of the pigman's identity and unwilling to offend him. Tell him to book tomorrow, the pigman barked arrogantly. No, I'm checking in today. You son of a... My dad is the lobby manager. Seeing the pigman's arrogance, Lin Tian laughed scornfully. He couldn't believe such fools still existed in this day and age. Knowing Lin Tian had booked the suite, the man still dared to speak to him like that. Did he not realize that someone who could afford a presidential suite wasn't an ordinary person? Wait, how much could a lobby manager earn to support his son staying in a presidential suite? Something was fishy here. Lin Tian sneered. Even if your dad were me, it wouldn't work. You, Dad, get over here. The pigman shouted, his piggish face turning red with fury. At his call, a middle-aged man with a similar face dressed in fine clothes hurried over. Several guests turned to watch the commotion. What's going on? The middle-aged man asked. Manager, your son wants the presidential suite, but this gentleman has already booked it, the receptionist stammered. I see. What a pity. Sir, perhaps you'd consider a different room or another hotel, the manager said, casting a doting glance at his son. No, I'm staying here, Lin Tian insisted. How about tomorrow? You can stay tomorrow, Wu Xueqing cooed, trying to soothe the pigman pressing her body against him. The pigman slapped her hard across the face, sending her crashing to the floor. You bitch. Did you think I didn't see you winking at him? He roared, kicking her viciously. Exposed Wu Xueqing's face turned pale. She scrambled up, covered her cheek, and fled. She's gone. Let's go back, the manager urged his son. No, I'm staying in the presidential suite today. She's gone, but I can find another, the pigman yelled furiously. The manager sighed, then forced a bright smile and tried to persuade Lin Tian. Sir, perhaps you could stay elsewhere. You're always welcome here another time. Lin Tian's face darkened as he watched this father-son duo abusing their power. He felt a deep disgust. How outrageous. A mere lobby manager dared to exploit his position for his son's benefit. Not only that, but he kept urging Lin Tian, the legitimate guest, to leave. And the manager's son was even worse, swaggering and arrogant, acting as if he owned the place. Call your boss, Lin Tian demanded sternly. Our boss isn't here, the manager said with a smile, though his eyes betrayed a hint of smugness. Who says I'm not here? A deep voice suddenly rang out from behind. Everyone turned to look. Seeing a gray-haired but imposing man, the manager turned as pale as a mouse caught by a cat, trembling all over. MMR. Wong, the manager stammered. So you do remember I'm Mr. Wong. I thought you were the owner of this hotel. Mr. Wong sneered. This is all a misunderstanding. The manager pleaded fearfully. No need to explain. Go to finance, collect your pay, and leave. Mr. Wong said bluntly. The manager's body shook violently, and he stumbled back several steps, dazed. It was over. The precious lobby manager job he had worked so hard to get was gone. Why had he crossed Lin Tian? Why had he let his son try to steal the presidential suite? After this upheaval, Lin Tian finally checked into the presidential suite. As an apology, President Wang personally delivered numerous gifts and repeatedly expressed his regrets. Adhering to the principle of never refusing a good deal, Lin Tian accepted all the gifts without hesitation, settling in to enjoy the luxurious life in the presidential suite. Interestingly, on the very night he moved into the suite, Wu Xueqing came to the hotel seeking him. Yet he turned her away, denying her even the chance to ascend the floors. In the days that followed, Lin Tian continued to revel in a life of lavish spending while preparing for the apocalypse. He occasionally ventured out to recruit individuals destined to awaken extraordinary abilities. Time passed swiftly. Unbeknownst to him, only 12 days remained until the end of the world. It was then that he received a WeChat message from Wu Huizhong. Mr. Lin, the shelter has been completed and the furniture and appliances are all ready. The items you requested are also prepared. When would it be convenient for you to come by? He replied, all right, I'll be there shortly. With 22 days left until the apocalypse, he had already stockpiled tens of thousands of banquet feasts, recruited over 1,000 individuals who would awaken abilities, amassed various supplies, and had the shelter under construction. With these resources, he was certain he would neither hunger nor thirst in the apocalypse, and with so many protectors, he would be utterly safe. Yet it was still insufficient. At least the daily necessities were lacking. Though he had spent millions on supplies enough to last him several lifetimes, the problem lay in his group of over 1,000 ability users. Thus he needed to hoard even more supplies. Fortunately, this wouldn't require much spending. He had already devised a plan. As the apocalypse neared, he would go to America to stock up. A few days earlier, while supervising at the shelter, he glanced at a piece of construction material only for it to vanish into thin air. The bewildered workers who witnessed this were utterly confounded, and Lin Tian himself was equally perplexed. Later, after purchasing large transport vehicles and placing them in his space, he discovered the mysteriously missing material within it. It was then he realized he could store others' possessions into his own space. Grasping this, a notion of zero-cost acquisition took root in his mind. After all, he didn't even need to touch those items to make them vanish into his space. No matter how much others suspected him, they would lack concrete evidence to lock him away. Yet he had no intention of pulling this scheme domestically. It wasn't out of sympathy for the capitalist, but rather a desire to avoid the scrutiny of the police and the nuisance of being summoned for questioning. If the police kept an eye on him, his preparations for the apocalypse would become troublesome. It was better to go abroad. Initially, he considered Japan. Notably, the zombie catastrophe in the apocalypse was undoubtedly linked to Japan. In his past life, he had seen ample data proving this. Using a zero-cost acquisition spree in Japan to exact revenge seemed appealing. However, he needed not only daily supplies, but also heavy-duty items. All kinds of firearms were available. If he went on a zero-cost acquisition spree in America, he could amass a huge cache of guns, and also stock up on supplies for all kinds of firearms were available. If he went on a zero-cost acquisition spree in America, he could amass a huge cache of guns, and also stock up on supplies from major malls. It was a perfect two-for-one deal. After stashing America's treasures into his space, he would quickly return home. Even if Americans suspected him, they could only glare helplessly across the Pacific. Thus, daily necessities and firearms could be secured this way. What he had asked Wu Huizhong and his team to prepare were the rare goods hard to obtain on the open market. For instance, various medical equipment, medicines, large machinery, and materials. Once the apocalypse struck, hospitals and other infrastructure would inevitably collapse. Being able to examine his health and produce medicine without leaving home would be ideal. Otherwise, falling ill or injured without timely treatment would mean suffering or death. Various machinery and materials were also essential. With them, his shelter could double as a factory ready for production at any time. Worried about space for all these goods. Ridiculous. How could that be? After completion, his shelter would have 20 floors above ground, each with 200 to 300 square meters, and 5 underground floors, each with 400 square meters. Apart from the first floor for his own living and the 20th floor for the Sunto Awaken ability users, the remaining 4 floors could be dedicated to various production activities. As for the ability users being cramped in 20 floors, in the apocalypse, having an absolutely safe shelter was something to be grateful for. A little crowding was nothing. A few square meters could house 8 people in a dormitory. This was already quite decent living conditions. Soon he arrived at the shelter. True to their reputation for serving the wealthy, the construction company was highly efficient, and the result was impressive. The shelter was already completed, looking even better than he had envisioned and surpassing the blueprints. As he arrived, a few elderly women chatting on stools at the alley entrance began gossiping. Has Lin Tian lost his mind? Why build such a tall house? Indeed, and it looks so strange. Why is there such a large piece of glass above the courtyard? Oh my, in all my years I've never seen such a huge pane of glass. He must have too much money to burn. My son told me that rich folks abroad do this. The house is very secure, but terribly expensive. They say it's for the end of the world. The end of the world? He can't actually believe the apocalypse is coming. That rumor has been around for years. I can't believe someone so young falls for such nonsense, wasting all that money. What a pity. If I had his wealth, I'd buy a grand villa, eat and drink every day. Why would I be crazy enough to build such a tall house to guard against some doomsday? It cracks me up. I heard about the end of the world over a decade ago, and what happened? Nothing. We're all living just fine. The women, finding common ground, grew more animated, their voices rising until they drew several neighbors. The crowd shared a nearly unanimous opinion: Lin Tian simply had money to squander. Overhearing these remarks, Lin Tian remained utterly unbothered. These fools now thought the apocalypse wouldn't come, so they deemed his lavish preparations foolish. In just over 20 days they would see who the real fool was. By then these fools would be too late to cry. Having lived through the previous apocalypse, he knew all too well the suffering people endured. When the apocalypse first erupted, heavy snow fell continuously. The weather grew bitterly cold, plummeting to hundreds of degrees below zero. Even indoors, wrapped in multiple quilts, people shivered uncontrollably, let alone venturing out for supplies. And even if they did go out, travel was incredibly treacherous. The snow was so deep that shoveling couldn't keep up with the falling flakes. Countless people perished while searching for resources. Many also starved to death in their own homes. In short, life was a brutal struggle for everyone. Upon seeing Lin Tian's arrival, Wu Huizhong promptly approached him. Lin Tian stood in the courtyard, gazing at the towering skyscraper. Before him, a profound sense of security welling within his heart. This was a top-tier shelter valued at 6 billion yuan, though he had only paid a 600 million yuan to. The construction material was a special steel, even more robust than granite, which not only effectively blocked radiation and penetration, but also withstood various attacks, even nuclear bombs. The water and electricity systems were self-sufficient, complemented by first-class air purification and constant temperature control, alongside an all-encompassing surveillance and early warning system. Even under the most extreme and harsh conditions, living in this shelter guaranteed absolute safety. Mr. Lin, please. Wu Huizhong spoke politely. The two entered the shelter together. By then the first floor had been lavishly decorated as per his request, with some furniture and appliances already installed. The several dozen square living room was designed with grandeur, its furniture and appliances both costly and imposing. The 66-inch OLED TV on the wall, with its exceptional brightness and purity, alone cost 800,000 yuan. The plush, comfortable sofa with massage functions was valued at 1 million yuan. Along with various other luxury furnishings and high-end appliances, each piece was worth half a house, or even several houses in a small county town. This opulent and expensive configuration would cause a stir even among the wealthy elite. Mr. Lin, are you satisfied? Wu Huizhong looked at Lin Tian eagerly, his attitude extremely sincere and friendly. A client as generous as Lin Tian was rare, even in their top-tier company. The higher-ups had repeatedly instructed him to treat this matter with the utmost seriousness and never be negligent. It's passable. Lin Tian feigned reluctance. Seeing this, Wu Huizhong took a deep breath. he said with trepidation. Mr. Lin, if there's anything you're not satisfied with, please let me know at any time. We will strive to improve and achieve perfection. Lin Tian responded coolly. Wu Huaizhong dared not be negligent and said deferentially, then Mr. Lin, shall we go see the items you requested? Lin Tian nodded without a word. Wu Huaizhong immediately gestured for him to proceed. They arrived at the bedroom. Wu Huaizhong gently pressed a wall tile, and instantly a sound was heard. A hidden door appeared beside them, slowly opening to reveal a long staircase. Both sides of the stairs were fitted with several lights. They brightly illuminated the staircase, faintly revealing the conditions below. This was a small secret chamber Lin Tian had specifically instructed Wu Huaizhong to design. It would be one of his greatest trump cards. After the apocalypse arrived, that group of over 1,000 people would be both a major asset for his survival and a significant threat. To retain so many, he would inevitably have to reveal some supplies. Seeing his supplies, those people might harbor ill intentions. Usurping his place was a possibility. Keeping more cards hidden and making ample preparations was the only wise path. Thus he had built this secret chamber for storage and self-preservation. He could see hidden prompts and know in time who harbored treacherous thoughts. In a crisis, he could retreat into the chamber and with its carefully designed features achieve the effect of one man holding the pass against 10,000. This would ensure his safety. For now, the defense systems were not activated and the chamber was used only for storage. Items he had commissioned Wu Huaizhong to procure would be placed here or in small warehouses. Wu Huaizhong's connections and channels were indeed impressive. He had procured everything Lin Tian needed so quickly. If Lin Tian had made the purchases himself, he could have obtained them too, but it would have taken considerable effort and might have attracted unwanted attention. He carefully inspected the equipment and gave a measured compliment. Not bad. Receiving the praise, Wu Huaizhong sighed in relief and said with a smile, "You're too kind. It's my honor to serve, Mr. Lin." Just then a notification sound came from his phone. Wu Huaizhong quickly picked it up, glanced at the message, and said to Lin Tian with a smile, "Mr. Lin, the furniture and appliances you ordered have arrived. Shall we go out and take a look?" Lin Tian agreed. All right. The two swiftly walked out, and with a few taps the thick shield-like door. Only then did he hear the sound of approaching vehicles and the chatter of neighbors. My goodness, so much furniture. They're really rich. Wow, and such a huge fridge. I've never seen anything like it. This bed looks great too, so soft and cozy. Good heavens, with so many truckloads of stuff, how much did that cost? Speakers and a projector too. You can watch movies at home. Is this what rich people's lives are like? The two arrived at the entrance of the alley. Dozens of trucks approached, slowly stopping one by one along the roadside, forming a spectacular sight. Workers carefully unloaded the furniture and appliances, carrying them toward his shelter. Neighbors took photos. Spotting Lin Tian, they swarmed over as if seeing a deity of wealth. They went all out in flattering him, praising him to the skies. Lin Tian is truly remarkable, building such a tall house at such a young age. I always said he was talented and destined for greatness. A 20-story building. Good heavens, if my daughter's boyfriend built me one like that, I'd be laughing in my dreams. Such a tall and fine house must be worth a fortune, right? Lin Tian, you're amazing. Oh my god, Lin Tian, you're so rich. You're like a god. Lin Tian was always smart, excelled in school, and now he's making money hand over fist. Comparing people only drives you crazy. Hearing the neighbors praise Lin Tian felt no joy, only irony. These hypocrites had never been kind to him before, especially when he had to drop out of high school due to poverty. They had mocked him then. Now seeing his tall building and new appliances, they were fawning over him. How ridiculous. Yet even more absurdity was to come. As if oblivious to his expression, the neighbors shamelessly started asking for loans and favors. Little Lin, we've been neighbors for so many years. Lend me 500,000, will you? My son needs to study abroad, and it won't be possible without that much. Lin Tian, you're so rich, now lend me a few 100,000 to spend. They'll pay you back as soon as I make. Lin Tian, what kind of big business are you in? How about making my son a manager or something? Little Tian, your fridge is huge. Must have cost 20,000, right? Give a few to your auntie. I used to hold you when you were little. Lend me some money too. I won't ask for much, just 100,000. I promise to pay you back by the end of the year. The neighbors grew bolder, and even Wang Dahu, who had owed him 30,000 for over a decade, came to join the fun. Watching them desperately curry favor and play the family card, he found it all deeply ironic. Back when both his parents passed away, leaving him to struggle alone, without even money for school, these very people had all made excuses when he asked for help. Why were they suddenly talking about old ties now? Oh, you're all in such financial difficulty. Then why not sell your houses? If you sell them, you'll have money. Lin Tian said with a cold sneer. The neighbors' faces instantly turned ashen, as if they had swallowed something foul. Seeing this, Uncle Su put on an official tone and began to mediate again. Little Lin, that's not right. We're all neighbors here. Now that you're well off, it's only right to help out. How can you make such snide remarks? Hearing Uncle Zhou's words, the neighbors joined in rebuking Lin Tian. Yeah, we're old neighbors. How can— Exactly. Is that any way to speak? If you want Lin money, fine, but why suggest we sell our homes? Now that you're rich, you've forgotten old bonds, haven't you? You ungrateful wolf. We've been neighbors for so many years for nothing. This is my only house. Where would I live if I sold it? You're trying to ruin me. Pa. Selfish. Ingrate. You'll die a miserable death. The neighbors who had praised him so fervently now cursed him just as viciously. Their change of face was as swift as light. And all because he refused to give them benefits or loans. Are you done? It's my turn to speak. Lin Tian glared coldly at these beasts. When my parents passed away, I was only 10 years old. Though I was independent from a young age, I lacked strength, and there were matters a child like me simply couldn't handle. Forced to seek your help, you all made excuses and even mocked me. I struggled through life alone until high school, short by over 4,000 in tuition fees. I asked Uncle Wong for the 30,000 he owed me, but he refused. When I tried to borrow from you, none of you lent a hand, saying I should sell my house if I had no money. Now that I have money, why do you all flock to me with flattery and emotional appeals? Now you come to borrow from me, and when I suggest you sell your houses if you're broke, I become the ungrateful one. When I was down, you all kept your distance, unwilling to help. Now that I've made it, you all come to curry favor and demand benefits. Is this what you call years of neighborly bonds? Is this what you call years of deep feelings? My parents helped you plenty when they were alive, and this is how you repay them. Calling me ungrateful. I think you're the true ingrates. Those unbearable memories flashed through Lin Tian's mind like a movie, each frame etched deeply, bringing a piercing pain to his heart. These neighbors were all wolves in sheep's clothing, utterly selfish. They were beasts in human form. They didn't deserve to be called human. With their true faces exposed, the neighbors dropped all pretense. A wave of abuse crashed over Lin Tian. So many years have passed, and you still remember so clearly. Aren't you being too vindictive? We did it for your own good. Look at you now. You waste money on such a tall building but refuse to help your neighbors. What a scoundrel. Why are you so arrogant? Just because you have money doesn't mean we fear you. Talking about the apocalypse, you've clearly lost your mind. Spending a fortune on some doomsday shelter. A heartless bastard like you deserves to be cheated. Wu Weizhong's face stiffened. He felt utterly mortified. Deserved to be cheated. Was the cheat referring to him and his company? He instinctively looked at Lin Tian only to see his tense face relax, and then he actually smiled. Good. Remember your arrogance now. Don't ever come begging to me later. Lin Tian sneered at these beasts, dropped the remark, and headed back into the shelter. Wu Weizhong paused for a moment, then quickly followed him inside. Lin Tian lounged calmly in a recliner, supervising the workers as they moved in appliances. Though these beasts were detestable, the thought that they would soon face their comeuppance eased his anger. In fact, he was already anticipating their reactions when the apocalypse arrived. 5 days later, New York City, the United States. Lin Tian strolled leisurely down the pedestrian street, curiously taking in the city's sights. Just then a white woman emerged from a small shop. His gaze fell on her crossbody bag with a corner of a bill peeking out. In 2 seconds the money vanished, reappearing in his spatial storage. Confirming the restocking function still worked, Lin Tian walked into a nearby large mall as if nothing had happened. He glanced around the first floor before taking the elevator to the top. Upon reaching the top floor, he grabbed a shopping cart and acted like a regular shopper, looking around, picking items, occasionally tossing a couple into the cart. Soon he arrived at the top floor. Seeing no one was watching, he immediately launched his restocking plan. All kinds of goods vanished on the spot, and within moments the entire floor was swept clean. Not even a roll of toilet paper or a piece of candy remained. The sudden scene stunned everyone. Mall employees and shoppers alike screamed in shock. He feigned surprise with a couple of screams, putting on a shocked expression. Oh my God, why are our shopping carts and all the goods here gone? My God, how could this happen? Heavens, my wig that fell on the floor is gone too. This is so embarrassing. Oh no, where's my phone that I just put down? What's going on? This is incredible. Even God couldn't do this. Many stood dumbfounded while others panicked, rushed to the elevators, and fled downstairs. Hearing the translator's output, Lin Tian suppressed his glee, feigned fear, and ran to the elevator, heading downstairs. Soon the next floor was also swept clean by him. Then the floor below that. And then, before long, the entire mall was emptied. The shopping center erupted in chaos. Staring at the hollow mall, no one could stay calm. All wore identical expressions of shock. Employees frantically contacted managers, even top executives, while others swiftly called the police. They gaped at the empty mall, racking their brains, but unable to fathom how everything had vanished into thin air. They rushed to check the surveillance footage, desperate for the truth. Meanwhile, Lin Tian had already blended into the crowd and left the mall. Soon he caused another uproar on a different commercial street. Every single item in the entire block disappeared like magic in an instant. Even the largest weapon shop in New York wasn't spared. Thousands of guns vanished in an instant. Bullets, scopes, bulletproof vests, all gone without a trace. This bizarre incident didn't happen just twice. Soon the same phenomenon occurred in multiple blocks. From high-end luxury goods to cheap trinkets, everything was swept away. The losses were catastrophic and incalculable. The scene terrified all affected merchants. It also plunged other businesses into endless panic. No one knew if they would be the next victim. The entire city was gripped by fear. Police arrived at the scene. They reviewed surveillance, gathered evidence, and interrogated witnesses, but found no clues. What terrified them was that these incidents kept happening, and there was no way to stop them. More and more businesses fell victim. Among them were several large malls, and soon New York's top officials, and even the U.S. government, took the matter with utmost seriousness. They issued orders deploying massive police forces for a full investigation. To prevent the suspect from fleeing, they even imposed a citywide lockdown. No one was allowed to leave New York. The capital of the United States was plagued by the bizarre disappearance of massive quantities of goods, and a lockdown order as a result. This was unprecedented. All of this was the doing of a young man from Dragon Country, Lin Tian. Little did they know Lin Tian, the thief they thought was trapped in New York, had already left the city. He had made his way to a nearby city, boarded a plane, left the United States, and returned to Dragon Country with billions in supplies. By this time, this bizarre incident had rapidly spread across the United States, stirring up a massive commotion and widespread repercussions. Lin Tian sat in the first-class cabin of a flight bound for the Dragon Kingdom, observing the news reports from the United States displayed on his laptop screen, taking it all in. Starting at 3:15 p.m. today, merchandise in numerous stores across New York vanished into thin air. The authorities have now issued a citywide lockdown prohibiting anyone from leaving New York. Police have launched an immediate investigation, but no progress has been made yet. Reporting for CBS News. CNN, the 869 stores involved in this incident were all inexplicably looted without exception. The direct losses have already reached tens of billions of US dollars, with indirect losses incalculable. ABC News. This is surveillance footage from the bizarre theft at Walmart. As you can see, every item on the entire floor disappeared in an instant. Even the Walmart executives present at the scene could not prevent this tragedy. He casually searched Twitter, and as soon as he clicked in, he saw numerous related posts and comments. So many items from large stores have vanished. What kind of divine being did this? This is the work of a god. No human could possibly achieve this. I can't believe this is actually happening. It's absolutely true. I was at the car dealership about to test drive a Bentley. Before I could even get in the car, it was gone. All the other cars in the dealership were gone too. Oh my god, I saw my store on the news. I hadn't even opened for business, so why are all the items inside gone? I thought it was just a rumor, but it turns out to be true. But is it scientific for so many goods to suddenly disappear? Oh no, it's not scientific at all. Lin Tian calmly took a sip of coffee and glanced at his storage space. After this wave of zero-cost shopping, his space was now fully stocked with supplies expanded immensely, reaching a total value of hundreds of billions. All kinds of supplies were neatly arranged and categorized, looking like a massive shopping mall. Daily necessities, clothing and accessories, fruits and vegetables, snacks and delicacies, home appliances and furniture. Even diesel fuel generators, digital products, as well as thousands of vehicles and thousands of firearms and weapons. With such a vast variety and enormous quantity of supplies, even if tens of thousands of people squandered them recklessly until their deaths, they would never run out. With these good things, he was confident he could face the apocalypse. 3 days later. Over 10 hours later, Lin Tian returned safely to his shelter. He placed a small portion of the supplies from his storage space into the warehouse, made some further preparations, and then sent out notifications one by one in the several large WeChat groups he had set up. Please report here before 1:00 p.m. the day after tomorrow. After working for more than 3 days, I will advance you 1 month's salary. Those who are late will not be waited on. Everyone. As soon as the notification was sent, the long silent group chat erupted. When at the starting line, "This is amazing, you'll head over right away." This is a programmer with 10 years of work experience. He is an extreme sycophant. He will awaken an ability in 53 days, with an ability level of a rank. Lin Tian looked at his hidden hint and smiled knowingly. A programmer with a rank ability. This was a rare talent indeed. Chocolate sauce big brother is so generous. He'll come report right away. Happy flying gift. This is a female intern nurse. She has a beauty score of 9 out of 10 and has no dating experience. She will awaken a rank ability in 39 days, and then awaken another a rank ability 42 days later. 2 a rank abilities. This pair of as he would take them. Guard you as before. Boss Lin is so generous. Thumbs up, you've solved my urgent need. Smile. This is a highly skilled retired traditional Chinese medicine doctor. Due to his son's gambling addiction, he is burdened with huge debts. He will awaken a rank ability in 45 days. This guard you as before ability wasn't very impressive. What attracted Lin Tian to hire him was his medical skills. During this time, when Lin Tian was stockpiling talent, he didn't just look at abilities, he also considered the person's professional skills. For example, the traditional Chinese medicine, doctor the experienced programmer, the master chef, the blacksmith, and carpenter, the retired martial arts athlete, and so on. These could all be useful for survival in the apocalypse. Wow, advancing a month's salary. Boss, I love you, will bear you 3 kids. Damn bro, you're way too generous. You're advancing 50,000 in salary after just 3 days of work, aren't you afraid? Well, run away. I thought it was a scam. I can't believe this is real. My ancestors must be smiling in their graves for me to meet such a generous boss like Brother Lin. A monthly salary of 50,000, he'll be laughing in my dreams. I'm booking a ticket right now and heading overnight to report. Brother Lin is mighty, Brother Lin is generous, Brother Lin, may you have 108 children. The group members wildly praised Lin Tian, almost worshipping him as a deity. These group members were either grassroots workers from various industries, current students, or unemployed youth. In their eyes, the 50,000 monthly salary Lin Tian offered had a fatal attraction, but they had no idea that every single one of them would one day become an ability user 1 in 1,000. The benefits they would bring to Lin Tian were immeasurable by money, but that was all in the future. Under Lin Tian's call, these people who were about to awaken their abilities all came to the shelter. Learning that Lin Tian had hired so many people at a monthly salary of 50,000, the neighbors were great. They completely changed their attitudes from 2 days ago, swarming to the shelter begging Lin Tian to hire them, so they could also get the 50,000 monthly salary. Through his hidden hints, Lin Tian already knew that none of these hypocrites would awaken any abilities, and they had no other use. He directly had his people drive them out. The neighbors all broke down, standing outside the shelter, cursing wildly and pounding on the door. They thought they could cause chaos and turmoil for Lin Tian, but they didn't know that Lin Tian, staying inside the shelter, couldn't hear a single sound from outside. Moreover, no matter what tools they used to smash the door, they left no marks on the thick, specially made steel gate. Lin Tian calmly watched these broken-down neighbors through the surveillance footage, as if observing monkeys at a zoo. However, soon the neighbors all left from his doorstep. It wasn't because they had reformed, or because they were tired of cursing. It was because it was too cold. Although winter hadn't arrived, yet heavy snow began to fall, and it grew heavier and heavier, quickly forming a thick layer of snow on the ground. The temperature also plummeted rapidly, soon dropping below 0. Those who had been eagerly building snowmen and posting on social media finally realized something was wrong. But by then it was already too late. The temperature was still dropping sharply. People might leave home to search for supplies when it was 0 degrees, but by the time they reached the supermarket, the temperature had already fallen to -10 degrees. In about half a day, the temperature plummeted to an astonishing -80 degrees. Later, the weather station stopped reporting the temperature altogether, and people could feel intuitively that the temperature was still dropping. Shivering under their blankets, people belatedly realized that a great catastrophe had arrived. The apocalypse, which had only existed in legends, had descended. Oh my God, I went out to pee and almost became a eunuch. I was just about to go buy some groceries, but the snow outside is already piled over a meter high. I can't even get out. To you. Oh my God, I went out to pee and almost became a eunuch. I was just about to go buy some groceries, but the snow outside is already piled over a meter high. I can't even get out. Can anyone tell me what's going on? Why is it snowing so heavily? Damn, what's the temperature now? I've got 4 layers of quilts and a space heater, and am still shivering. My thickest clothes are just 2 thin coats, and I only have 2 blankets. Am I going to freeze to death? Someone save me. The extreme weather affected not just this city nor Dragon Country alone, but the entire world. Netizens from home and abroad took to the internet to voice their opinions. The internet was filled with wails and lamentations. Countless netizens wept over the bone-chilling weather, while many others offered hefty sums for heating equipment and food. The sudden extreme weather made life unbearable for everyone. Even the wealthiest individuals could only use the resources at hand to make themselves as comfortable as possible. Yet they too struggled to find adequate warming gear to withstand the bitterly cold temperatures far below -80 degrees. News traveled fast in the age of the internet. Before long, reports emerged online of people freezing to death. Some of these stories were half true, but crucially a portion came with actual images. Seeing the tragic images of people frozen stiff as corpses plunged everyone into deep fear and unrest. Of course, this did not include Lin Tian and the others in the shelter. At that moment, Lin Tian was lounging leisurely on a plush, comfortable sofa, watching an ultra-high-definition expensive film on TV. He occasionally opened his mouth to accept tidbits fed by 2 maids in French-made outfits. The shelter's constant temperature and heating systems worked as intended, completely warding off the bitter cold outside and keeping the interior as warm as spring. Everyone inside the shelter remained utterly unaffected by the extreme weather. Lin Tian had already laid his cards on the table with everyone. They could stay if they wished, and he would ensure they had enough to eat and wear every day, but he would not pay them any wages. If they wanted to leave, he wouldn't force them to stay and would even give them a severance of 2,000 yuan. Faced with this choice, most people decided to remain. A few chose to leave, but more than half of those who went were driven back by the severe cold and returned voluntarily. In this way, Lin Tian successfully retained over 1,100 people. Using hidden prompts, Lin Tian assigned them tasks. Those sturdy men with martial arts or boxing backgrounds were placed in the bodyguard squad. He selected a few loyal individuals with leadership skills to serve as squad leaders and captains. Half-baked doctors were assigned to treat minor ailments like headaches and fevers. Skilled physicians were tasked with serving him personally and treating illnesses beyond the capabilities of the half-baked doctors. Ordinary cooks were put in charge of preparing communal meals, while master chefs were naturally assigned to serve him exclusively. Others with talents were also put to good use, assigned accordingly. Those with no particular skills were temporarily tasked with attending to him or working in the workshop, producing cold weather gear. Though his spatial storage held a vast supply of such items sufficient for any need, he didn't want to keep idle hands, and having no other tasks for them at the moment, he set them to producing cold weather gear. After all, he had ample cotton fabric and machinery. In this environment, cold weather gear was a hot commodity worth its weight in gold. Selling it at exorbitant prices or using it to win loyalty were both ideal strategies. Brother opened wide. A maid in a French outfit fed him another piece of delicately cooked pastry, deliberately brushing against him. He pinched the maid's cheek and pulled out his phone. As soon as he unlocked it, he saw dozens of missed calls and countless WeChat messages. Most of those missed calls were from his good girlfriend Zhou Tingting, while the rest came from her plastic. At that moment, the two called him almost simultaneously. He hung up directly and opened WeChat. Seeing over 99 unread messages in Zhou Tingting's chat window, he smirked mockingly and opened it with interest. Zhou Tian, I'm so cold. What's going on? Why is it so freezing? Can you come over and bring me some thick clothes? I want some hot milk tea. Order some for me quickly. Zhou Tian, what are you doing? So cold. Zhou Tian. Freezing to death. Where the hell are you? Why aren't you answering? If you don't reply in 3 minutes, we're breaking up. Answer me. Answer me. Hello. Idiot. Come out now, or we're done. Do you hear me? I'll give you 10 more minutes. Reply to me and Are you busy? Reply when you're free. Zhou Tian, I'm sorry. Please reply. Zhou Tian, are you mad? We've been together so long. Zhou Tian, I love you. Zhou Tian, don't ignore me. Zhou Tian, I'm really so cold. I've got 3 layers of blankets and I'm still freezing. Zhou Tian. Zhou Tian, find a way to send me a few quilts. Zhou Tian, boo-hoo. Voice call. Voice call. Lin Tian, go to hell, you bastard. You worthless loser, you scumbag. I hope you freeze to death. I was blind to have known a useless piece of trash like you. Don't think I can't live without you. Let me tell you, I'm about to become rich. What does it matter that you earn 20 or 30,000 a month? Do you have a few million? I'm about to have that. I've already gone on blind dates with loads of rich second-generation guys. Each one is richer than the last. When the time comes, I'll pick one to marry and become a wealthy lady. You just wait. When this damn weather is over, you'll beg me, but I'll be too late. Are you seeing that? Say something. Voice call. Voice call. Voice call. Zhou Tian, I was just angry earlier. Find a way to send some heating stuff to my place. I know you're far away, but you can contact my neighbors. Zhou Tian. Lin Tian watched the dozens of messages from Zhou Tingting with great amusement and couldn't help but laugh. If the apocalypse hadn't arrived, he would never have witnessed such a schizophrenic display from her.